one remaining with the individual, and he's not going to let her leave the aircraft at this time.
He made me feel very sure that we had a very real and horrifying threat.
We don't know who he was, where he came from, or where he went.
How about now? Anything now? Anything now? I know, no sound. I know. Can you hear me? Anybody? You can hear me now. Fixed. Thank you. Okay. All right. Good. I'm sitting there going, oh God. Okay. Hello, lovely people. I knew it one day I'm going to have, that. Somebody says low. Well, maybe turn your volume up. How does the volume set? Very low. Okay. Well, let me think. Okay, I think this is the one that works. Sorry, folks. New microphone. I know. It's the Cooper curse. Am I back? See, this delay is what stinks. Hello. Okay. All right. Back. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Perfect. Audio. Yeah, it was down. This is a new microphone. Sorry, folks. I should have tested that, but I'm lazy. That's how I roll. Hello to everybody. Hello to, hey, Black Wingy, how are you? Or Stasi, what an interesting name, the Stasi. Case Agent Ralph Hope wrote a book on the Stasi. Hello to everybody. Hello, Steve. Hello to Poirot over in the UK. How are you? Good evening, Cooper. Good evening, Mr. Cooper. All right, so it's November 6th, 2025, and CooperCon is coming up next week. I hope that any of you, or many of you, are attending. Norway, well, come to CooperCon at some point. But anyway, okay, so hello, Nicole. All right, Melanie, how are you? Hello, Zodi. Okay, Joel, thank you for the super chat. How's it going? I'm doing good. I am living the Cooper dream, just getting ready to find out some new stuff about suspects and the FBI. By the way, shame on the FBI. We don't have, hey, Augie. We haven't gotten a vault drop. We haven't gotten any new vault drops. They're supposed to drop at the first of the month. Usually like the 3rd or 4th or 5th, whatever. Usually the first Monday of the week, at the start of a month. We didn't get any. We didn't get anything in October at all. And so far throughout November, nothing yet. So I'm kind of mad from them. Hello, Melanie's in England. Hello. Where are you? Melanie, where are you in England? Oh, there's Stoolboom. Stoolboom, the finder of the sheet. The finder of the sheets. That's like his Game of Thrones name if he became a king. Stoolboom. Stoolboom the Fourth, the finder of the sheet. Government shutdown, no drops. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That Northampton, Melanie. Okay, the feds are shut down. But I mean, some of them aren't working. I mean, surely some of them are working. I mean, not all the feds are off, right? I mean, I got buddies at the courthouse. But yeah, you're right. It is a federal. Cooper never left the plane. Mike, you're trying to get me. Hey, Ryan, why don't you host CooperCon where he jumped? Like in a field? Although actually that is something, if the volume's too low, Nick, maybe you should turn your mic up, turn your volume up maybe. I mean, is it really that low, people? People are bitching about it being low. I'm sorry. Brad, you're in the military. Are you working? James St. James, Richard McCoy. Let's all laugh at James St. James. This channel is tilting at windmills. They found out who DB Cooper is. It's Richard McCoy. Who is they found out? They found out. Okay. Yes. I mean, come on, St. James. Tell me why Richard McCoy is Cooper. I would love to find out. But yeah, oh, Brad, you are working, but without pay. I mean, surely they reimburse you. I mean, I guess you get you do get money, right? Like, I mean, obviously, like when they turn back on, they turn the spigot of funds on, I guess, and you get reimbursed, I guess, for the town. They as a group of people, I don't know who they is. That's what I tell people. Look, if you came to CooperCon, where you've got, I don't know, 150 of the most hardcore Cooperites on the planet, we live and breathe this thing, and we'll fly across the country to talk about it. If you ask anybody, literally, out of the 150 top Cooperites in the world, essentially, ask any of them if they think it was McCoy. Nope. Not a single one. Like, honest to God, there is not a single McCoy person in the vortex who actually participates. Okay, because you spend any effort on this case and you realize that it's not McCoy very quickly. I mean, like, very, very quickly. It would be like if you were an Amelia Earhart gearhead or something, and there was some theory that, you know, she crashed in Jamaica or something, right? I mean, it just instantly, as soon as you dig into the case, you know that that's not true. All right. Max, are you I'm starting to think, Max, are you you're not Brandon Arnold, perhaps, are you? Just curious. Because I don't know if Max, if you're real or if this is a joke account, but kind of confused there. You're a little eager there, Max. The McCoy fan kids are still in deep denial. Yeah, most of them. This is exactly right. Packer says Larry took the case thinking he would prove it was McCoy, and yeah, they wanted it to be McCoy. Like, there's a great clip of the head of the FBI in Portland saying, if we could have made McCoy as Cooper, we would have done so. But he wasn't Cooper. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Drew. Drew says McCoy is the most compelling candidate when first starting off, but quickly drops in likelihood once you get obsessed. Yeah, very quickly. DB Cooper is the same person as the Max Headroom hijacker. Now, yeah, that's another mystery that's interesting. It's not as, I think if I was into, that sort of wavelength TV broadcaster sort of stuff, I'd be into that mystery. That's kind of cool. But for that though, your suspects are really narrow, because whoever did that really, from what I know of that case, whoever did that was absolutely was a cable provider kind of guy. Well, basically that was his job. There's only certain people who knew how to do that at the time. Hey Ryan, will any new news media outlets be present to cover the Cooper convention? Yeah, I think so. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially with the movie playing and whatever. Yeah, there should be some media there. Oh, Terry, good. Terry, you're coming. Great. I tried to reach out to someone who knew Braden. Now that would have been interesting. Ryan, is the new suspect you bring up in CooperCon the same person mentioned on the Facebook group, the one who lived close to Tina Barr? No, different guy. That guy is named Clarence Ellis. And it is interesting. Basically, it is interesting when you look at that guy. I mean, basically, the guy who lived right next to Tina Barr looks very much like a Cooper, okay, and it was a little older than Cooper, but maybe he's mid-50s. But the guy who lived literally right north of Tina Barr, we saw some photographs of the guy, and yeah, pretty wild. Any idea when you're going to play the cockpit recording? Which day? Oh, I think let me see what day we have that listed. Yeah, early. Yeah, Friday afternoon. Yeah, we want to get that. We want to get that early because there's some stuff in there to talk about for sure. In fact, the audio that we're still getting some of it in. We're still getting it in. Okay, it's an anonymous person providing this, and we will not be giving details on how they acquired those tapes. But it's some good stuff in there, and it's not in the transcripts, things that are off the transcripts. For a while, I thought that this was only the audio recordings of what is from Flight 305 to the Seattle Tower, which is on my website. I thought it was just the audio to that, which I was excited for that because, you know, reading something, you lose a lot of tone, you lose a lot of inflection just reading it. So it would have been nice to have it audio, but this is stuff that goes past that. So we already, in fact, I would say that the audio that we've got has already changed everything. Not everything, but it has changed a major component of this case that, yeah, we call it the yellow sweater tapes because of Radachek and his yellow sweater. Bless his heart. Rest in peace, my man. As some of you may know, Bill Radachek died a couple weeks ago, which is really sad. He was 86. Okay. What time periods are covered on the audio? Is there audio from 8:09 to 8:20? Perhaps. Could be. Not gotten that yet, but I think it's possible that it's coming because we've got some audio really close to that. Okay. But yes, we are, like I said, there are some things that are already, that shook me up. I said, do the tapes provide new information? Hell yeah. So, I mean, there are definitely some things. How is the quality of the audio and how do you vet its authenticity? Well, I know what Bill Radachek sounds like, and it's Bill Radachek. I mean, it's the real tapes. I mean, the person is an old person who had the audio. It's real. I mean, it's definitely the audio. I mean, we've heard audio from the hijacking before, you know, that we know is real, and it's the same stuff. And like I said, Radachek is his voice is very obvious. In fact, let me see. Maybe I'll play a tiny bit for you guys. That's not too bad. Let's see. Okay, here, we'll try this. I will try to upload a bit of audio. Let me see if I can upload audio, just an audio alone clip. I'm not sure if I can. Okay, no, I've got to upload that into sounds, I guess. Is that going to be sound? Sorry, folks. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm trying to do this. Where is it? There we go. Let's see if we can play this.
We've got a long way to go. Get past you. That's our problem right now. We've got a long way to go. Get past you. That's our problem right now. We've got a long way to go. Get past you. That's our problem right now.
I That's Radachek saying we've got a long way to go and he's getting antsy, and that's our problem right now. There's also some really good stuff. With Radachek. No, they're getting angry at the. If you've watched my videos, it does sound like the Apollo mission tapes. It's just really good. I mean, it is him computing. This is real. When was this during refueling? Yeah, the refueling. If you've watched my video about that, I mean, that was a cluster, right? I mean, they had to take 4 refueling trucks, and you can hear Radachek and them getting angry. They're talking about it. One of the third. So the first fuel truck, UMAFan, you'll hear them in what we've got at CooperCon, and then eventually I'll release it online, of the tapes. But the first fuel truck had a vapor lock, which they only got 3. Now, remember, Flight 305 needs about 50,000 pounds of fuel. Okay, the first fuel truck, and one fuel truck should be able to provide that. All that's needed is one fuel truck. First fuel truck, vapor lock. They put 3,000 pounds on vapor lock. Second truck puts on like 2,000 pounds and then gets a frozen fuel nozzle, which, how does that even happen? It wasn't even freezing. Then the third one shows up. And then remember, now at this point, they still need 45,000 pounds. The third fuel truck only put in 300 pounds of fuel, 300 pounds. And there's a great line where I wish I could play it. Maybe I have it actually. Let me see. Not sure if let's see. This might be it. Hang on. All right. So yeah, you can hear Radachek in this audio. Now this is not a cleaned up version, so it's a little sketchy here. But this is the last thing I'll play. Where is it? Sorry, folks. Yeah. This is Radachek. So remember that they need 45,000 pounds. The third fuel truck only puts 300 pounds in. And they're like, okay, we're bringing the fourth fuel truck up now. And Radachek says, I hope that thing's full. So let's see if you can hear it. Now, remember, the audio is a little spotty here.
I hope that thing is full. He's getting awfully antsy. I hope that thing is full. He's getting awfully antsy.
So yeah, I hope that thing is full. I love that. But no, they're getting upset very clearly. And Radachek cusses, in fact. And we used to have a debate about this because some of this audio has come out, and there is audio, and in the transcript, Radachek says something like, "We do want the fuel truck to come up," and blah 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 blah. But in the audio, in this clear audio, it's very clear that he goes, "We do want the fuel truck to come up, damn it!" And it's like, whoa. So what's crazy is we're not always hearing we're not always hearing the response. So a lot of the audio is the crew talking, and you don't hear what's being talked to them, especially Al Lee. For whatever reason, Al Lee is not being picked up. Although it's very low in the mix, but I'm going to get it up. We do have Al Lee saying, that girl you brought down here is pretty sharp. Why don't you get out of there and let this son of a bitch go? And so, like I said, in the transcript, it says, why don't you do this and let that parajacker go, or parachutist go? It says, let the parachutist go. No, he says, get the girl and let that son of a bitch go. And it's cool. So you can hear it. So no, it's intense. It's real life drama. It's great. And apparently, in some parts Northwest, somebody keeps asking about the stewardesses, and Radachek says, they're in the car. Like, 2 of them are in the car. And it's just, you hear blank, because somebody's talking to Radachek. He's like getting flushed. He's like, 2 of them are in the car. And he's like, forget the stewardesses. Stop talking about them. So yeah, the audio is cool. So And like I said, we can't reveal our source, but it's the real deal. So you'll love it. And interestingly, a lot of lines that for whatever, so in the transcript, you can't tell who's talking. Okay. It just says, yes, Harold Anderson is alive. He's the last of the flight crew alive. In the transcripts, you just see pilot. Okay. Like it just says P or whatever for the guys in the cockpit. So you don't know if it's Radachek or Scott talking or Anderson. But, and the newspaper was eavesdropping, some of the journalists. And we did see things like, well, like for example, I just always assumed it was Radachek because he ran his mouth a lot. The whole line about this guy seems to know a thing or two about an airplane. I always thought that was Radachek. That sounds very much like Radachek, like this guy seems to know a thing or two about an airplane. But it's Scott. This guy seems to know a thing or two about an airplane. So it's Scott saying that, which I like that. He goes, he wants us to fly at 10,000 feet with the gear down for some reason. I don't know where he picked up all that from, but he keeps saying it's got to be unpressurized. So, because he had that, because he was from Minnesota, he was from Montana, or yeah, I think he was from North Dakota. He was from North Dakota, so you definitely hear the North Dakota. Also, Paul Soderlund's voice. We hear Paul Soderlund a good bit. Paul Soderlund definitely has that, what do they call that, a Yinzer accent or something? Hey, he's a... Oh, and there's some cool audio in there, which I didn't... It's off the transcript because it's from Northwest Airlines frequency. It's got... Paul Soderlund's like, he's not going to be able to tell if you're actually at 15 degrees flaps or not. You can just raise him up. He's like, it's kind of neat. He's like, I don't think the guy in the back's going to be able to know whether the flaps are down or not. Why don't you raise him up? So there's some cool stuff in there for sure. Alexander Butterfield. Alexander Butterfield? I don't get the reference there. What's the Alexander Butterfield? Butterfield? I ever heard Butterfield. What am I thinking of Butterfield? There was so Dan Butterfield was a Civil War general who wrote his own bugle calls. And so in battle, think about charge, right? Everybody knows charge, bugle call for the Army, right? Charge, right? But in battle, the bugler will play that, and another unit might hear that and go, oh crap, that's for us. We're going to charge. So Dan Butterfield was in command of a corps in the Union Army, and he would always, he was a songwriter, and he put a little prelude. So his bugler would play a prelude. So it would go, da, 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 which is Dan, Butterfield, 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 ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da. So anyway, Dan Butterfield wrote taps, dun, 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 dun. So he wrote taps. So a Civil War general wrote taps, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Dan, Butterfield, Butterfield, Butterfield. Anyway, so this is what happens in the ADHD mind. Someone writes Butterfield, and I'm like, well, Butterfield? I know what Butterfield's. General Butterfield from the Civil War. That's right. Tell them about the Civil War. They'll be interested in the Civil War. Shut up, Ryan. Talk Cooper. Okay. Have you ever heard of something happening to the pilot Scott's family later on a flight? No. I do not know that story. I know, yes, Joseph Hooker is chief of staff at Chancellorsville. I guess he ran away with Hooker as well. Ryan, you mentioned Skip Hall giving his grandchildren 727 souvenirs. That seems like a Cooper thing to do, does it? Do not reveal yourself. I don't know. Packer, what was it, his kids or grandkids that he gave it to? I'm trying to remember those coins. Well, did the kids or grandkids? I kind of forgot. I wonder who'll be traveling the furthest to get to CooperCon. Good question. We should have a contest. And that's a good idea. We should have a contest, and the winner should get something. I don't know. The winner gets a kiss from Mrs. Sleuth. Okay. Was Hetty the only one to leave money behind on the plane? Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think. There was something with Heinemann where I think they did get the money back. But okay, I know what it was. I think so. Heinemann didn't like. He wanted $300,000. He had I think it was $303,000. The guy was precise. He wanted $303,000, and he didn't like that they. I don't know what the currency was they gave to him. It may have been in 20s for all I know. But he was pissed about it. He goes, "I don't want this." He goes, "I want this in." And he gave a list of like, "I want $400, $500 bills," and he wanted $500 and $1,000 bills and a few hundreds, I think. But they said, okay. And so there was a moment where they did bring him these $303,000 in hundreds and 500s or whatever. And there was a moment where he had both sets of cash with him, I believe. He had the first $303,000 in a suitcase, and then he had, or briefcase, whatever, in a bag. And then they gave him the other $303,000. And he could have taken both, but apparently he handed it back to them, or they got it, or he wandered off or something. But regardless, there was a moment where he could have like doubled his score, but didn't for some reason. Because he could have just grabbed both bags and like, what are you going to do about it? Anyway, but yeah, Hetty could not fit enough money into his fishing vest he was wearing, so he had to do that. Okay. What did Lapointe and Heinemann use? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question, Max. I don't know how Heinemann and Heinemann and Lapointe tied the money to them. Actually, I think that Lapointe literally just held on to it because they gave him a briefcase with. I mean, he didn't have a lot of money. He only asked for $50,000. I'm almost certain that he literally just held on to it in his hands and somehow held on to it when the parachute opened. So, because I'm almost positive on that, because there's the pilots there were chase pilots who saw him jump and like circled him as he went down. And I think they said he was just holding on to it because as soon as he landed and broke his leg or whatever, or broke his ankle, he tossed the suitcase up like, damn it, in anger. They say he tossed it up into the air when he landed. So I think he was just holding on to it. Heinemann, no idea. Any reference to currency in the new tapes? Not yet. Not yet. We're getting there. Could Cooper have ordered a double drink, hence the 2 drinks that shows up in the receipts as 2 drinks? So I'm trying to remember. Flo mentions that she gave him, I think, $18 back, which as far as we could tell on the drink menu, 1 drink was only $1. So like a cocktail, if I want bourbon and Coke or whatever, it was $1, I think. And so, yeah, he could have ordered a double and that would have been $2. And so $18. Yeah. So I don't know, actually. I need to look into that more, but she only ever says he ordered a bourbon and 7-Up. So she doesn't say he ordered 2. And if he had spilled his drink and got another one, then she would have seen that. And I'm sure she would have mentioned the guy spilled his drink. But the only person who saw him spill his drink was Bill. How come they didn't go with the $25 bill instead of the 20 bill? Well, I would think it has to do with when the bills were made, right? I mean, I expect that there was a $20 bill before there was a $100 bill, right? Surely they, as inflation happens, you go up, you keep going upwards and upwards. So I don't know. Sure discounts the idea Cooper knew nothing about planes. What does? What are we talking about? He did a Grider holding the cash. Yeah, I know. Well, Grider let go of it on purpose because he was trying to do that. Ryan, do you buy Cooper tires? I don't know what tires I have. My mortgage is through Mr. Cooper, it's called. Mr. Cooper Loans. They bought my mortgage. I don't know. Dan Grider just lies for a living. Dan Grider's interesting. I'll just say that. Tina said Cooper sounded Midwestern, as in a very American guy. Yeah. But accents are strange. I mean, really, I don't, you don't hear much difference. I mean, she said Midwest or West. And really that's true because I can't tell the difference in a person from Colorado and a person from Oregon, right? Those accents are kind of nondescript. So I think that's kind of what she was just saying. But hey, a guy in the military could be that way too, regardless of where he comes from. Maybe over time you start to develop just a basic accent because you're around so many people all the time who speak various accents that your accent maybe just becomes, maybe you lose your accent in the military. I don't know. Or maybe they're screaming so much if they're a drill sergeant. But now Cooper did not have an accent. And I would think that they had a good ear for accents, the stewardesses, right? And they came from all over too. So you've got Flo, who was a Southerner, and you've got who else? Let's see, Alice was from Minnesota, so she's a Yankee, and then Tina is your tough girl from the East Coast. She's from Philly. It's a Philly girl. Or I could have a Walter Recca accent. Am I gonna have to play Walter Recca again? Do I have Recca? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Why did you pick the back door, by the way? Because they had a side door there that says red letters on it right there, open here, and I said I was going to open that right there, and she mentioned that there's that tail door there, so I said, well, that's fucking good. So...
Okay. Anyway, yeah, Recca. Interesting. Dang, playing that may have cost me my stupid revenue for this evening. I think I got copyrighted one time for playing something out of a Recca documentary, which sucks. I may have to rig the audio so it doesn't pick up next time I play it. Cooper could have been faking a Midwest accent. I mean, honestly, he spoke so low that, Tina just says he's whispering most of the time. So Peter Jennings didn't have an accent, Canadian like Cooper. Yes, Canadians, especially those in the West, for sure. I've played audio before. I found audio and I put it on my Facebook group of, I think it's from 1970. There was a news broadcast where they were just going on, they were doing some man on the street segment for Vancouver, Canada, news segment from 1970. And all of them sound like Americans pretty much. I mean, I don't think if you would not be able to be like, oh, that's Canadian. No way. They just had very basic accents. Did I see it? Oh, super chat. Hello. Skull Deer Raja. Skull Deer Raja. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Skull Deer Raja. Wow. 10 pounds is like $85 in American currency. The exchange rate stinks. Okay. He did tell someone, return to your station. Yeah, he told Alice Hancock. He said, go back to your station, miss. What happened with Braden in Vietnam? Well, Braden was part of the Golden Knights, which is like the Blue Angels for parachutists, right? They do exhibitions at air shows and things for the Army. Be all you can be and be a parachutist. And so he was part of this exhibition group, and he was bored with it and wanted to go back to combat and said, I want to go back. And they sent him back. And right in the middle of it, and they said, you're going to train our allies. If you know your Vietnam, in the early Vietnam era, 64, 63, we sent a lot of advisors over there. So we weren't fully engaged militarily yet, but we sent a lot of our special forces guys to go train the South Vietnamese army. And Braden was one of those. And Braden taught them how to jump into trees, into the central highlands of Vietnam. So Braden was over there as an instructor for a while. And then when Mac V. Sog, that's kind of like the CIA's special forces. There's basically, what are they called now? Somebody help me out. The CIA has their own special forces now too. But I forget what they're called, like JSOG or something, or somebody's gonna know that. I'm brain farting. But yes, the CIA has their own special forces now. But back then they were called MACV-SOG, and so Braden was literally among the first MACV-SOG members ever, not Delta Force. I forget what they're called, but they're different. But anyway, he was part of the very first guys there. He was the first guy, so they would jump in they had 3-man teams. He actually went into North Vietnam and, not Green Berets. He went into North Vietnam and planted a listening device, I guess, to like basically to pick up audio of the North Vietnamese. So he planted a bug again, essentially in North Vietnam. I guess they're just called SOG. Okay, Special Operations Group. Yeah. Anyway, he was the first guy. He went into North Vietnam. Braden did, and like snuck in with 2 other guys and planted a listening device there to eavesdrop on the Vietnamese, and then somehow made his way back into the Sanda, South Vietnam, into safety. Talk about a just fearless person, Ted Braden. Okay, Ted Braden was not afraid of anything, but he ends up in a dispute at some point with a South Vietnamese officer and shoots him, just kills him in the streets of Saigon. Or not Saigon. They're out in the field somewhere, and he just shoots this guy. And he was arrested for murdering this guy, and he's sent to Saigon to go be on house arrest and await his trial or whatever. And mysteriously he vanishes. He's gone. And then a year later, he emerges in the Congo as a mercenary fighting in the Congolese Civil War. And the CIA catch him there, and they bring him back, and that becomes the most that's when all the stuff with him at Fort Dix, where literally the commander of the Joint Chiefs of Staff calls down to release Braden. Says, hey, release Braden. Sorry, I'm rambling about Braden. Okay, somebody's asking, who's the most decorated soldier suspect? Well, currently it's Richard Floyd McCoy. The guy that I'm helping release, again, he's not my suspect. I'll just point that out. He's not my suspect. He's a good suspect that I think the community should be, just the same way I brought Lee Seller and James Roman and those other people to the Vortex. I'm bringing the new guy. I'm not saying he's Cooper. He's not my suspect. But I do think he's the best suspect I've ever seen. And I'm thinking his military record's pretty good. But McCoy got a Distinguished Flying Cross, which is, for pilots, is basically right below the Medal of Honor. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the new guy might have more. He doesn't have a Distinguished Flying Cross, but he's got enough. Okay. There's 5 hours of conversation between Cooper and Tina. What was said? Well, not much. I mean, for one thing, let's see. Once they land, so it's 6. So at 6, from 6 to 8. So from 6 to when they take off, they have a few words, but he's mainly working on the money bag, and she is holding the phone, and he's doing what he's doing. So for about 2 hours, it's really just Cooper and Tina back there, and she's just relaying whatever, right? She's just relaying whatever the pilots are saying. But from there they are. So yeah, most of the time she's just holding the phone there. But I'm trying to think. I don't think a lot was said. he was just busy smoking, and they had small talk. She just said they talked about smoking. She says in her 302 that they talked about smoking habits. She talked about living where she lived in Minnesota, and but I don't think they said much. If you talk to Sharon and Mac, they didn't say a lot between each other either. It's just an awkward situation. Yeah, not going to Cuba. They kind of laughed about that, but I just don't think much was said. I think things are going pretty tense. You're just going to sit there and freeze, which is what Tina kind of did. I don't blame her. I guess there was never any comment by Tina on an accent. Well, she did. Sure. Tina mentions an accent. She says the guy had a Midwestern or Western accent. So, I mean, take that for what it is. CIA job or he died in the jump? No. Why would the CIA do this? What does that have to do with the CIA? CIA cares about international things. What does this have to do with it? I'm not sure. If you can let me know what the CIA, why it need to be a CIA job. That's the thing is people make more of Cooper than he was. This was a bank robbery. Very clever bank robbery. It didn't need to be CIA or whatever. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for them. There you go. The man himself, D.B. Cooper, says, Coop was a criminal trying to make a score. I agree. CIA, JFK. JFK blown away. What more do I have to say? Cooper didn't start the fire. It was always burning. Augie, that's funny as hell. That's really funny. Any chance we'll witness 3-Eye Atlas land and pick up Bruce during CooperCon? Take him back to his home world. Yes, that's funny. That's really funny. Is there going to be a book about the new suspect, Ryan? Please say yes. If the family wants to write one, sure. If Cooper died in the jump, why no body found? Did he jump into a Cascade volcano? Well, to be fair, remember, did it? That's news to me. Packer says 3-Eye Atlas disintegrated today. What, did the sun, wasn't it? How? That's weird. It disintegrated right when it got to us. So it's traveling through interstellar space for 5 billion years, and then it decides to split up right as it's coming near Earth. What? Help me out there, somebody. But yeah, so about Cooper's body. Okay, so remember, a month before, the same month as the hijacking. The same month as the hijacking, a 15-year-old boy goes hunting near Cougar, Washington, which is in the same county, I think. It's in Cowlitz County, just north of where Cooper jumps. And he goes missing and dies somehow. And they don't find his body until a year later. Okay, so I think he's found in November of 1972. And all they found was like his rifle, like a femur bone, and like 2 ribs or something. I mean, just literally within a year, nothing of this guy. So the idea of finding Cooper's remains just out in the field somewhere, a body, is not going to happen. Too much wildlife. People who go hunting a lot, if you go in the woods hiking, how often do you see like a dead animal? It's not that often because they get consumed pretty much, and we are animals, so when we die in the woods, we're taken away as well. So, but you're still leaving behind that and that. So where'd that stuff go? That stuff's not going to just disintegrate. I mean, it will over time, but the metal, all the metal on a parachute is going to be remaining. How did Northwest come up with the first suspect, Richard Simmons? So it wasn't their first suspect. That was just, okay, so the first thing they had was the names of the passengers in Portland. they didn't get the rest of the people on the plane. I mean, they knew that Cooper boarded in Portland very quickly. So they didn't really care about the passengers who boarded earlier, at least at the first. So they got I don't know how many, I think it was 23 or so people boarded in Portland. And they ran their background. They ran all the names through the NCIC. And Simmons came up as having a public drunk when he was in college or something. By the way, Richard Simmons, sweating to the oldies. Simmons was he didn't compete in the Olympics, but he was like he was like a reserve for the Olympics. I forget what year it was, like 52 or something like that. But he was a swimmer. He was a really good swimmer and was almost in the Olympics. But kind of neat. If he died, why no missing persons inquiry? Shooting to the oldies, somebody says. Yes. Well, the missing persons thing, right? Remember what Ralph Himmelsbach had to say, right? I mean, if we think about what Ralph had to say.
Ralph.
He said maybe Cooper was a guy who no one reported missing because when he was around, everyone wanted him to be missing, essentially. I understand that from my own family that, there are people in your family sometimes who you'd rather they not be around. And if they weren't around, you're not going to call and report them missing because they're a grown ass man. And, right? Please tell me the new suspect served in Lode, Cambodia. No, don't think this guy was. Cooper became disillusioned by the Beatles breaking up, and his grudge was with Yoko Ono, who had her entire net worth tied up in Northwest Airlines. Yoko. By the way, it's interesting, if you watch that Beatles documentary on Disney that came out a couple years ago, Get Back, it's such a prescient moment. Paul McCartney is sitting there talking about, won't it be funny if in 50 years people are saying the Beatles broke up because Yoko sat on an amp? So he already knew that. So no, it wasn't Yoko's fault. The Beatles were just, what's crazy about the Beatles? I heard this today. If the Beatles broke up today, their first recording would have been in 2017. That's how brief the Beatles were around as far as recording records. Or maybe it's 2018. Yeah, it actually would have been 2018. So 7 years. I blame John. Yeah, no, you don't blame anybody. They got tired of each other, the Beatles. I mean, they just got tired of it. Okay. Will there be books about the new suspect at CooperCon? No. Max, you just asked me, is there going to be a book about the new suspect? And I said, not that I'm aware of. And now you're asking about if it's going to be at CooperCon. No. Oasis got back together. I liked Oasis. I like Oasis. And by the way, Liam Gallagher, if you know the Beatles song Rain, Liam Gallagher essentially that is his voice. He was like, that's a cool way to sound. So if you listen to Rain, think Liam Gallagher. You're like, oh wow, that sounds just like him. So he ripped off John's voice in the song Rain. I Want You, She's So Heavy is their best song. Very good. By the way, if you listen to the I Want You, She's So Heavy track on their restoration of Abbey Road on Spotify or wherever, it's called look up I Want You, She's So Heavy Trident version. It's incredible. It's incredible. Okay. Where do I stand today on if the case will ever be solved? Seems unlikely. Because think about what is it going to take for all of us? What would it take for the community to go, oh yeah, that's it. Game over, let's pack up. I think that there would have to be you'd have to find the money. Okay. So you'd have to find verified money in Grandpa's attic somehow. Okay. So that money, think about what the FBI says, right? Money, body, parachute. That's what they say. So, and they're kind of right. But the problem is you would never be able to, you could have, somebody could just take one of those and say, oh, this is my grandfather's, or this was Cooper's, So the parachute, no, not so much. But the money, the money could be verified for sure. A body, I suppose, if somebody eventually came across some skeleton that had some parachute crap still attached to its back in the woods, and that would work. But I don't know. Not really sure what it would. I mean, I guess somebody could find the original hijacking note in Papal's book or something. I don't know. It just seems unlikely. DNA. Okay, so the hair slide. If we got the hair slide, we probably could. Look, if you gave me DB Cooper's third cousin, I could spend an afternoon on Ancestry and find DB Cooper, almost certainly, I think. So it wouldn't take long if we could find somebody, and that's kind of how they do it, right? So if we had the hair slide, what they would do is they would enter the DNA on the hair slide into like Ancestry or whatever, and it would pop up relatives. I forget what that's called. Isn't it forensic genealogy? Yeah, forensic genealogy. That's how they found that's how Colin Fitzpatrick solved the Somerton man. Okay. Was the comic book ever in English? No. Dan Cooper was never in English. It was in several. It was in France. It was in French, Spanish, I feel like Greek. I bet Ryan and Cooper would be best friends. I am friends with criminals. I have to say that. It does. I do know some. I do know some criminals. That's for sure. Since we now know that the money found at Tina Bar couldn't have been in the water during the winter of the incident, how do people explain the presence of the bills there? We don't. How do we explain it? We don't. We try. We try and do that, but that's the great booger bear of the whole thing, isn't it? How'd the money get there? I don't know. I mean, I don't. No habla inglés, Tina Bar. Tina Bar is somebody today made a comparison to Tina Bar and the Thai particles, and yeah, they're kind of, both of them are like, I'm kind of over it. It's like, ugh. I don't know. It's just, I don't. The Thai particles, the issue with the Thai particles is that we still don't have a good idea of it. We're still learning a lot. So there's been lots of red herrings, like, you know, the antimony thing that turned out not to be antimony. It's like, okay, well, so what else are we going to find out? I know that Packer, who's in the chat, did find fingerprint powder from like 1970 that the FBI would have used, their same powder, and he sent it along with a Towncraft Model 3 tie to Tom K to spread. I know Tom was messaging me a few weeks ago asking me if there's any videos I know of agents from back then spreading fingerprint powder on things, because he wanted to see how they did it. Because, you know, so Tom is going to put the fingerprint powder on the tie and see if maybe the tie particles are from fingerprint powder. The issue with that is that the FBI documents everything generally. And we know what they fingerprinted. If you saw my Reno video, they fingerprinted the seat, the interphone, the door, the bathroom, but no mention of them ever fingerprinting the tie, because it is kind of difficult to get fingerprints off of fabric, isn't it? So I don't know if they fingerprinted the tie. I don't think they did, but it's certainly worth trying to see if the fingerprint, if the tie particles come from fingerprint stuff, or that some of them do, or a majority of them do, or you know. Packer is saying it's more that the tie was in the presence of powder rather than actually being dusted. I mean, regardless, either way, if it turns out that the chemicals are similar in what Tom sees on the tie when he puts the powder on it, then, I mean, I would say that really that would put the kibosh on the whole metallurgy stuff. Just got here. What I miss? I solved it, bro. I solved it. You missed it. It's over with. We're done. Let's see. The FBI was embarrassed by Cooper. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not sure they were embarrassed. I mean, I don't think they were embarrassed by it. I think they were frustrated by it. But they did kind of give up. I'll say that. There's a stretch there where they just didn't do much at all. That's the 80s. Yeah, I agree. Is it really that embarrassing? I don't think so. It's not embarrassing. I mean, again, I think the FBI's current closure rate on bank robberies is like 70%. So if you're a prospective bank robber, you have a 30% chance of getting away with it. Even today, bank robberies surprisingly have a decent success rate as far as crimes like that go. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, he's the only guy that they don't know who he was. So it's not. And look, I know, like, I love Chris Cunningham jokingly calls me a FBI propagandist. I'm sure Bruce would agree. But when you read 50,000 pages that these people wrote, they're trying their asses off. I mean, they're trying. They're not like derelict. I mean, we can look back now in 2025 and say, oh, well, they should have done this and that. And yeah, they should have kept the cigarette butts. No doubt about it. You don't ever get rid of evidence of any sort. I don't know what they were thinking with that. So, and yeah, Computing says, I think the FBI learned enough from DB Cooper to catch all the copycats. Well, they were anticipating it. They put trackers in some of them, although I don't think the trackers ever worked. I mean, it would have worked if LaPointe's chute had a tracker in it, but LaPointe jumped in the daytime. Like, they could see him jump. I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, the chase planes saw him jump out and said, oh, there he is. And they just circled him as he came down, these chase planes. Like, we got you. So he had a tracker. Heinemann found his trackers in his parachutes and was like, oh, thanks. He said, I'll use these for my army or whatever. He said he was raising an army. He said, I'll use these, which is weird. It's like, well, wouldn't you want to leave them on the plane instead of using them? I'm not taking trackers with me, but he found them. So I guess the implication is that he left them on the plane. I would hope they left them on the plane. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't want who to get mad at me for talking about Heinemann. Well, no, spiral metal shavings coming from a finger press is on fingerprint powder. Well, no. No, but again, it's one spiral shaving. Again, right? And remember this tie just sat on like the dashboard of FBI cars and stuff. Okay, this tie was not a holy relic for years. I mean, literally, they sent the tie back. I mean, I forget how many times. I wonder if I can. Maybe I'll read that story time, folks. Let's see if I can find where I wrote about the journey of the tie. Yeah, it says, talking about the legitimacy of the tie. I write in my book, the legitimacy of the DNA, for example, on the tie. But this says, due to the strong likelihood of post-hijacking contamination of the tie, Carr considered it unlikely that any of the samples were from Cooper. Over the decades, numerous agents had handled the tie, all at a time when evidentiary standards of care focused on preserving fingerprints, not preventing DNA transfer. Carr stated, quote, evidence collection at that point and time was based on fingerprints and not contaminating them. Only smooth, non-porous surfaces could produce latent prints, so fabrics would not have been handled with the same care as other items of evidence. I'm sure none of the agents were ever gloved, end quote. History supported his skepticism. While in the FBI's custody, the tie was handled by untold numbers of individuals and was passed between FBI offices several times. After its recovery from the aircraft in Reno, the tie was immediately sent to the Las Vegas office. Agents then took it to a local Penny's department store, displaying it to several employees, who probably handled it themselves during the interview. It was subsequently sent to Portland for the same purpose, and then on to the crime lab for testing. Once their examinations were concluded, the lab techs packed it in an envelope and sent it to Seattle, where it finally found a home in a cardboard evidence box. Then, in April 1972, the tie was removed from storage and mailed to the Los Angeles office to assist in the investigation of Ralph Silkwood. It laid around the office in Los Angeles for 3 months until agents eventually showed it to Silkwood's wife. Upon return to Seattle, it was then placed in a plastic bag and put back in its box, where it remained until its first DNA examination in 2001. So there you go. That tie was passed around frequently. Okay. Did Cooper demand the lights turned off? Yes. He wanted that was his last order to Tina, was to turn the lights off in the tourist section, or the main cabin, I guess. So she turned the lights off, yes. Contrary to popular belief, some people think the lights were turned off while they were on the ground to avoid snipers, but not true. The lights were turned on, the window shades were down. Hello from DC. Hello. Tom K said he thought about checking possible fingerprints from the parachute strings, the ones Cooper cut. Any update on that? That seems unlikely. Again, non-porous substances, or porous substances like a tie, that's going to be hard to get fingerprints on. Thoughts on Clarence Ellis, and will we get new suspects at CooperCon? Okay, Clarence Ellis, I mentioned him earlier, looks a lot like you would think Cooper would look. Certainly the guy was homely, a ugly individual for sure. But yeah, the guy lives right next to, he's about 6'1", tough guy, but really seemed like a good family guy. I mean, his obituary, if you look up Clarence Ellis obituary, Vancouver, I forget what year he died, but it's on there. It's wasn't too long ago. Guy seemed like he had a really good extended family network of people. I just don't see him hijacking a plane. And will we get new suspects at CooperCon? Yes. A very good suspect at CooperCon. Very, very good suspect. In fact, one thing I like about this suspect is that we have a picture of him from, I think, a year after the hijacking, and he's wearing very, very Coopery sunglasses. I'll just say that. I like that because it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys can tell me I'm wrong, but in my experience, usually people will find a style of sunglasses and kind of stick with it, right? Whether they be aviators, some people just like aviators, some folks will like the Oakley type sunglasses like Cooper's wearing back there. Some folks just like the Bluesman sunglasses. I usually wear sunglasses like this, just, hey. So I kind of wear just sunglasses like that. And these are my blinging sunglasses actually, but kind of wear the same types of sunglasses. Maybe I'm wrong, but so having a Cooper suspect wearing Coopery sunglasses does help, because you're like, well, at least we know he wore that type of sunglasses. Okay. This case certainly needs a good suspect because it already has millions of bad ones. I agree. We're getting a good one. Don't know if he's Cooper, probably not, but he's really good. Okay, fine. I'll give you a sneak peek. Yeah, so this is him these are his sunglasses, at least, in one of his pictures. We have several, but there. So you can see he's wearing, this is 1972, I think. He's wearing wraparound sunglasses, right? Remember, Flo said they look like they could be prescription type sunglasses, and this guy certainly looks like he's wearing prescription sunglasses. You can also see his skin tone. He is swarthy looking. But yeah, there we go. That's That's a new guy, and one of the pictures of him in his wraparound sunglasses. I can't make it smaller. I don't know how to make it smaller, Augie. I'm sorry. Maybe I could do something for you there. Let me try and see if I can. Maybe I can make it a little easier for you to see there. Give me a second, because that was kind of big on the screen, I have to admit. So let me see. Okay, let me do this. Because maybe this will definitely help it focus there. Sorry, folks. Let me do this. Dan Butterfield, Dan Cooper. I guess you'd like that. Dan Cooper. That doesn't work, does it? What am I doing? Where am I? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Sorry, folks. Took a minute, but there, kind of zoomed out. Just a grainy photo, Mary Johns, not freckly. Definitely not. He is very smooth complected for sure. Yeah, I'm saving it for the con. Don't worry, Packer. That's just all I'm giving. All I'm giving is Cooper with sunglasses, or him with sunglasses. Canadian or no? I don't know. Walter Recca had a really broad nose. Yeah, Recca's nose is a far cry from. Again, I'll show this image. These are 4 suspects whose noses people commented on as liking. Okay. So pointy, right? Not a bulbous end on the nose, right? And that's the problem with someone like Recca is his nose is just dreadfully, just dreadfully, whatchamacallit. There we go. Here, let me show you. Oh, crap. I hate this stupid interface. Sorry, folks. Whatever. Sorry. Yeah, let's look at their noses. There's Recca. So they're talking about, the stewardess has said McCoy's nose was broader than that of Cooper's. So, I mean, look at that big old nose. I mean, Bing's nose is probably, that nose looks inhumanly small. So I'm guessing Cooper's nose was wider than that. But regardless, Recca's Shrek-looking nose is just not what we're after here. Not even a little bit. Recca looks like Mike Ditka, yeah. What are the chances Cooper could have been a smoke jumper? Decent. I mean, he was doing smoke jumpery things for sure. John List, the family annihilator, yep. Mike Ditka. Recca, I can see Recca looking like Ditka. My video on Reno was good. Thank you. Please tell me the new suspect lived in the 80s. I ain't telling you nothing. Why did Ryan show us a picture of Recca wearing sunglasses? It's funny, like there is a picture of Recca with sunglasses, and he's wearing aviators all the time. God, Recca is just, somebody told me to make fun of Recca today, didn't they? I think somebody in the chat was like, hey, make fun of Recca. I mean, it's an insult. Plain and simple. As nice as Lisa's story is, it's an insult. It's a grift. Because, I mean, I think she genuinely believes it. But to get there is so preposterous. I mean, my God, we're talking about, I played that video of him, right? We've got him saying he was going to jump out the side door. Like, the whole thing is preposterous. Yeah, don't get me started. Wind me up. Did the new suspect serve at Fort Bragg? Probably at some point. Well, that's a clue, isn't it? Which one of the two theories do you think is more plausible? A, Cooper got heavily injured upon landing, decided to end it, and blew himself up with the bomb, or Lava Man. Lava Man. Lava Man. What was that joke? Remind me of what Lava Man was. We were joking about Lava Man, weren't we, a couple weeks ago? Yeah, Rekka's ID. Do I have that? Do I have Rekka's stupid KGB ID? Please tell me I've got that. Damn it, I don't. Son of a bitch. Oh, I missed it. I forgot to post this on Halloween, right? I forgot to post the phony DB Cooper meme I made. You can get your own costume. Mustache included. Oh, mustache not included. That's right. So, yes, Walter Rekka, the phony DB Cooper. I mean, look at that guy. What galaxy could that guy be, Cooper? Good Lord. We have to work with some constraints, people. Ryan now serves restaurant tables as Walt Babitsky. Yes, Walt Babitsky. Military. 18E. Military. Mary Johns. This will break your hearts, people, but I think there will be some filming, but not doing anything professional this year. It would taint. We're trying to no live stream. Yeah, no live stream. I will probably post. I am having it recorded, my suspect talk, because the family would like that recorded, and I think I will upload that to YouTube, and maybe some other stuff will be uploaded to YouTube. I do think we're going to have a stationary camera just to pick up things, and I will upload them to my YouTube channel eventually, some of the stuff, but nothing official, like no purchasing of live stream, no on-demand purchase, whatever. We're not doing that. It was too complicated. And also, it kind of cheapens the experience, right? I mean, if you could just sit at home, you wouldn't come to CooperCon. So, yeah, Rekka's KGB ID. Remember, Rekka's supposed to be a double agent. His KGB ID name says Walter Rekka. It literally says Walter Rekka on it. Like, you're supposed to be a fake Russian agent, like Walter Rekka. That's a Russian name? Okay. Can you say generally how the family feels about their relative being a Cooper possibility? It's an interesting thing because the daughter, this guy's got one kid who's alive. He only ever had one kid. She was estranged from him when she was very young. So he didn't have a lot of family around or whatever, but she doesn't want her dad to be Cooper, but she thinks he is. So it's one of these things where it's a rare thing. You don't hear that from people who are like, I think it was, but I don't want it to be. So she does not want her dad to be Cooper, but thinks he was. And has good reason to, in my opinion. Any real progress towards identifying Cooper? Like I said, I think that absent DNA, which again, the problem is doing this with DNA is going to require the hair slide. And even if they get the hair slide, hell, there's no guarantee the FBI will put any effort into it at all. No, Lord Byron. Oh, thank you. Keep yakking, RS. Thank you. $10. $10, a lot of money. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chats, people. I really appreciate that. I really do. It makes my day. Yes, his name was actually Pekka. Walter Pekka was his real name. Well, Cooper was definitely military for sure. Robert Cooper claims DB Cooper, who also called himself Dan Cooper, is actually his brother, Merlin Gene Cooper. Merlin Cooper is, do I have any pictures of Merlin? I wonder if I do. Merlin Cooper is a suspect who gets a lot of press. Well, not a press. He gets a lot of, do I have Merlin? I don't have Merlin. Dadgummit. Don't have Merlin. Now, Merlin gets a lot of press, but I think, problem with Merlin, I think he was really short. Merlin, maybe I'm wrong on that. There was something that bothered, let me see. I wonder if sorry folks, bear with me. This is how we roll when you're in Ryan's world, is you're ADD as hell. I think that, let me see. Did I get a Merlin? Oh, I didn't. Damn it. I thought I had clipped a Merlin. Thought I had clipped a Merlin picture, but Merlin doesn't look much like Cooper. But no, and I think Merlin, unalived himself. I think man, I'm embarrassed. Maybe Mary John knows. I get my people mixed up on this about Merlin. There's two Coopers there's two suspects whose last names are Cooper, who come up a lot in the FBI files. And I think Merlin unalived himself. I think he was also a homosexual too. Not that matters, but I'm pretty sure that was Merlin. Well, Lynn, of course there's Lynn Cooper, but not Lynn. I mean, not LD. This is Merlin, and there's another guy. Let me see. Packer says he sent me a photograph of Walt back when he was a different dude. Oh yeah. Well, so that's the picture so that's from the same set of images that we usually see when they talk about old blockhead Rekha. I mean, I'll bring it to you guys. Rekha, just what a clown! What a freaking clown! Here we go. Is this? Yeah, okay. I've got this too. We're about to have some fun, folks. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry taking so long here. Everybody gets angry with me probably when I'm doing this. Okay, let me back out of all this. See, I'm only allowed 100 files to have on my library when it comes to this sort of stuff. When it comes to what I can put up there. That one. Wait. There we go. Sorry. So Packer sent me this photo and said, yeah, it lists him as Pekka. It lists him as Walter Pekka, P-I-C-A. That's him in that all white outfit. But that's from the same photo set as this photo, essentially, right? Or I'm guessing it's from the same. It could be that's just what he always wore, so it could be a different occasion. But it seems like it's the same occasion. Maybe not though, because there's actually trees. There's not much trees. There's small trees. But anyway, yeah, that blockhead. But yeah, here's his phony KGB ID. The name there is Walter Rekha, Comrade Rekha. So Walter Rekha. You know, don't you think you'd go by a different name for your double agent name? Your secret agent man? Secret agent. Oh, RS, thank you for another one. Thank you. Somebody mentioned West Memphis. Oh, I thought we were talking about the West Memphis 3. I was like, West Memphis? Could this new suspect be compatible with the Johnston guy from West Memphis? Don't think so. I don't think they would have run in the same circles. Not at all. Why do you think that's really Cooper's work tie? I don't know if it is or isn't. I mean, all I know is that it was his tie. Whether he got it a day before or 10 years earlier, or well, 64 when it came out, so years earlier, who knows? But I mean, all we can say is that it was almost certainly the tie he wore on board because it was literally in his seat. So unless it was found in the seat of his seat. So unless he was sitting on someone else's tie for 5 hours, then that's Cooper's tie. Ryan, you made me more open about my ADHD. Good. I mean, look, a lot of us are ADHD people because I think a lot of people who are into mysteries and things are not your average sheeple, right? We're not just going along to get along. We're all kind of, what's the word? Neurodivergent to some degree, I think. You have to be a little neurodivergent. I have found that most of the people in the Cooper world are kindred spirits to myself. Okay. So I think we're all kind of, our brains kind of all work similarly, I think. Yeah, poor Kenny. People think he hijacked his employer. I am coming out with, next week, I did a hour-long review of the Decoded episode about Kenny Christensen. So I am coming out with that reaction video next week. Autistic with ADHD here. I'm probably on the spectrum, I'm sure. Probably Mrs. Sleuth would agree. I believe Cooper had experience in night jumping. He certainly didn't seem to be afraid of it. I mean, not that we could, I mean, the thing about Cooper is he's calm. Like, he's the only guy that I know of any hijacking who is just doesn't really lose his cool. Now, Mac was pretty calm. But again, Mac doesn't fear anything. He's not afraid. But Mac was pretty calm except when the drunk crashed the plane when the drunk crashed his car into Mac's plane, Mac got a little angry, which is understandable. But Cooper's unique. He's not sweating. Read other hijackings. Read about Hetty or not Hetty, but read about McCoy and other people. They're sweating because they're nervous. Cooper's not breaking a sweat. He's just chill. Okay, he's impatient a few times if you listen to Tina, but that is somebody who is like a psychopath, who has who is so flatline on their emotions, they're just dead inside, or that's somebody who has seen enough stuff and has enough age experience to not get flustered at things, or to be brave, or just whatever. So it speaks to something that Cooper acts like that. He's too calm by half, Mr. Cooper. He's interesting. That's what puts him in the professional category, like a Braden or Skip. I mean, it seems like, I don't know if he's a professional criminal, but he's just, LaPointe did keep us calm, actually. LaPointe, you're right. I don't know of LaPointe getting upset. Now, granted, LaPointe's hijacking was over quickly. I mean, they got him his money in 30 minutes, and he's out the door in like an hour and a half. He's quick. But now, again, LaPointe is, I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about, is LaPointe is like he was so messed up mentally that he didn't get flustered. Now, like I said, I think that speaks to mental state, because if you remember when LaPointe broke his leg or ankle, do I have that photo of him where he's all sad? I think every time I talk about LaPointe, I go to I try to find the photo, and I think I don't ever have it in my files. Let me see. Do I have that picture of sad LaPointe? I don't. Dadgummit. Why do I never have that photograph of him? There's a photograph of him just looking all sad in his wheelchair because of his leg. But when he was put in front of the judge for his initial appearance, the judge said, "Don't worry, son. We'll get you treatment for your leg." And LaPointe fires back, "Can you get me treatment for my mind?" Because he was just, as I've talked about before, he was a door gunner on a Huey. And he said they told during court, he talked about cutting somebody in half with his M60 on his door as a door gunner, and he said that he can't get that vision out of his head. Sad. LaPointe was the youngest hijacker too. LaPointe would be still in his 70s. I mean, LaPointe would be 75 right now. LaPointe would be almost damn near Bill Mitchell's age. So, real young guy. But he died. He had something wrong with his lungs that required him to be on oxygen like constantly. And there was an ice storm in like 2003 up north where he lived in Connecticut, and it cut the power out, and I think he died overnight because it went out. Jay Weiss, I didn't get one reply. Jay, where are you asking questions? I'm not ignoring you, Jay. Let me see. When did you ask a question last? See, when was the last time Jay asked me a question that I ignored? I'm scrolling back here, Jay. I'm waiting on you to, waiting to see if you asked me a question. There's one. Okay. 802. Are you going to answer my questions? Where? What questions? Jay, sorry. Okay. Would Cooper have gotten the death penalty? No. He must have needed the money to risk his life. I don't think so. I don't think McCoy needed the money to risk his life. Heinemann didn't need the money. Hetty didn't need the money at all. Hetty was a rich kid. I don't think LaPointe needed money. So I disagree with that. What else did you ask me, Jay? The Thai DNA was Tom K himself. No, not the FBI's DNA test. Tom did his own DNA test on the Thai, and it came back as his own DNA. But the FBI's DNA test was not. Cooper moved seats. Yeah, I feel like he had to move seats at some point. It would be difficult. It's hard for me. I don't know how he sat in the middle seat and was goon-eyeing Flo. It's an awkward. I feel like he almost needed to be in the aisle seat when that happened, to look around, look back at her. It's weird to visualize that moment with Flo and Cooper. I've tried to make some creations on that, and it's a weird setup because I feel like he's too far away in the middle seat for him to like. Yeah, let's see if this image works. Yeah, see, I'm trying. It's difficult because she's in a jump seat there behind him, and so he has to like somehow like stick his head up over the chair and get her attention. I feel like he was in the middle seat, or he was in the. I feel like he must have been in the aisle seat when that happened. You know, I mean, Flo doesn't really say. I mean, they say he was an 18E a lot. There is a I won't say it, but there is some indication he was in a different seat at some point that I trust, but I mean, it's on the same aisle, so it doesn't matter. Are you familiar with Chael Sonnen's theory about him knowing who Cooper was? The theory is that he was a Native American. There he is there. That's the guy right there. His name's Thomas Jett. This is Chael Sonnen's suspect. He's not he doesn't look ugly enough to be Cooper, I'm not sure, but he was young too. This guy was Nikki knows more about it than I do. I think Thomas Jett was like 26 or 27 at the time. So not Cooper. No wrinkly older mouth, but not a bad look. If I aged that guy up a little bit, not a terrible Cooper at all. With the broad forehead. Hair part's on the wrong side, unless that image is flipped. So that's not right. Seems implausible that no one knows who Dan Cooper is. Someone out there must have known. Well, could be that they're dead. I mean, it could be. Think about a husband and wife team, right? He dies, then she dies too. And maybe because she's an accomplice, she doesn't want to admit to anybody anything, right? So, who knows? Poor Flo. Yeah. All right. What else am I talking about? Did The Simpsons ever reference Cooper? No. That seems like a total, like, Family Guy would probably be the better one. Hey, don't you remember the time I was on the airplane and you know, because they always have those, like, that's all Family Guy is, right? Is like non sequiturs. So, Seth MacFarlane is not a Cooper head, because there should have been a, God, that's even stupider than when I jumped out the plane behind D.B. Cooper. Whatever. And something like that, right? Man, that's like when I found the money on the beach. It seems like Family Guy would have done a Cooper thing, but not that I know of. Twin Peaks, yes, of course. Fire Walk with Me. Doesn't the unique lip exclude the majority of suspects? Well, let's see. Roman's got a weird lip. Strom's got a lip. Wilson's got a lip. Dwayne Weber's got a lip. Bordal's got a lip. Braden, not so much. Skip Hall juts his lip out when he talks a bit. Jason Langstaff doesn't have a unique lower lip. Catalano, no. Lepsy, no. Bragstraw, no. Burnworth, not really. Sheridan Peterson's got a big lip. Kofelt's got a big lower lip. LD, nope. Lakich, nope. Kenny, nope. Lee Sellers, not that I noticed. Hunt, no. McCoy, no. Gossett, no. Recca, no. Lyons has one. Dayton, no. And the new guy has a Cooper lip for sure. So, all right. You can tuck your lip in when they take photos of you. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can, or you could. Oh, what was that? I heard a noise on my computer. Sorry. The feds are after me. The FBI. That would explain. But what was the government shut down in early October as well? No. So they just missed it, right? Or was the government shut down? All right, let's see. Hang with me, folks. We'll see if I may have a surprise later on for you guys if you'll stick with me. Maybe, I'm not sure. A special surprise for a person called Poirot who's a fan. Okay. When is the last time you ran into an unexpected Cooper reference in the wild? Yes, I can definitely show you that. For sure. I've got 2 times when that happened. In the past few months, I've got 2 times when that happened, and I will show you now. First time I was driving through Dallas, as one does. I wasn't quite at the Buc-ee's yet. So I wasn't quite to Buc-ee's. You know, if you know your Buc-ee's, you got to go to Buc-ee's. Wasn't quite to the Buc-ee's yet. But let's see. And I came across D.B. Cooper's loft. So it's like a antique a vintage clothing store in Dallas, at this Dallas like mall thing, like an antique mall called D.B. Cooper's Loft. D.B. Cooper's Dixie Loft number 1. There we go. And then Mrs. Sleuth and I were in New Orleans and happened to see this. Like she couldn't believe it. She's like, "How did you see that?" I was like, "I must have Cooper on the brain so much that like somehow I spotted that." Like at the bottom, I mean, I don't know how, but I spotted that. So I don't know what that is or who put that there or what it's about, but maybe some Cooper gang. I don't know, but pretty cool though. Mrs. Columbo. Yes, she is a Columbo fan for sure. Was McCoy the one with the lisp? Yes, McCoy did have a lisp. The FBI said that he rolled his R's. Have I read Caroline Fraser's book, Murderland? Deals exactly with that subject. What subject? Seeing things in the wild? Been Buc-ee's? Does it deal with Buc-ee's? October 1st, the shutdown started. Okay, well, that's why we... Damn it. See, I'm hoping I was like, oh, maybe I'll get vault number 11, 111 and 112 all at once. Nope. That explains it. Damn them. Dayton had a lower lip. Oh, Jesus. Packer. That is very vulgar, Packer. But I get it. I get it. I've been seeing these I love you DB Cooper stickers around Baltimore. Interesting. Interesting. I do. I have several. Damn it. Okay, hang on. I gotta do something real quick. Sorry, folks. Bear with me, folks. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Gotta send something to somebody. Oh, I just heard from let's see, sorry about that. Okay. All right. You know they're going to drop a vault right around CooperCon. That'd be cool. Any update on my Cooper book? Well, no, it's finished, but I'm scared to release it to publishers. I've got several contracts pending, or people who contracts offered. I'm like, I don't know. Is that my man cave, Ryan? Well, there's more over here, but I've got Model 727s. I've got 2 of them actually. They're just off camera. I don't want to mess up my camera setup, so I don't want to show it to you, but I've got all my Cooper books over there and some photos and Dan Cooper comics and all kinds of things. All kinds of memorabilia, multiple more parachutes and all kinds of good stuff. All kinds of goodies. Will CooperCon be streaming this year? Nope. Sorry, Baba Booey. I'm sorry about that. No. I don't think Cooper was a full-time criminal. I think he may have had a bad experience in the system for some reasons. This was his way of getting even. I mean, getting even, perhaps. Maybe Cooper hid the money in the basement of the Alamo. The Alamo! Remember the Alamo. By the way, the Alamo, underwhelming tourist attraction. Not much there, sadly. I mean, it's cool to see it, but it's like, it's in the middle of like a mall, essentially, right? It's not something you expect to see there. It's so out of place because the city was built up around it. So it's just, it's hard to explain. Yeah, it's basically a mall. Yeah, it's in the middle of a mall. It's of an outdoor mall, essentially. But it's like, oh, there's the Alamo. Mount Rushmore is a big letdown, especially when you realize that the freaking Crazy Horse Monument is bigger than that. Like the Crazy Horse Monument, which will never be finished unless AI robots can chisel away. But the Crazy Horse Monument Crazy Horse's head is the same size as Mount Rushmore. Like that's how big, Mount Rushmore was carved into a mountain. The Crazy Horse Monument is a mountain. Like they're literally shaping a mountain into the Crazy Horse. It's insane, which will never get done. But they're trying it. Somebody should rename PDX to the DB Cooper International. That if they had a cool sense of humor, they could. Cooper had been someone used to taking charge. Yes, the FBI say that too. That's in the FBI's official profiles. They say he was probably somebody who was used to giving orders to people because it didn't bother him to delegate tasks and things. Ozzy took a piss there. Yeah, he did. The Alamo. Davy Crockett executed by allegedly. Davy Crockett and 5 others were bayoneted to death via execution. So no glorious death for Davy Crockett in battle. He was captured and bayoneted by the Mexicans. The Mexicans were right in that war, by the way. Just heads up, the Texas Revolution was a revolution for slavers. The Mexicans were the ones who were trying to prevent slavery that was a war over slavery. And the defenders of the Alamo were on the wrong side of that war. So just to point out, that might make some Texans pissed off, but if you're looking at it from modern perspective, the Mexicans were, it was their country, right? Remember what the Mexicans did, right? Texas was part of Mexico. If you don't know your history, Texas is part of Mexico, and there's nothing there. There's no settlers there. So they're like, hey, if any Americans want to come move here, you can have 100 acres or whatever. So the Mexicans were like being nice, like, hey, if you want to come settle in Texas, you can do that. You'll be a Mexican, but you can come settle here. Can we bring our slaves? No, we don't have slaves. Texicans, thank you. No, senor, we don't have slaves in Mexico. We don't do that. We have abolished slavery like civilized people. And the Texicans were like, well, we're bringing our slaves anyway. Mexicans say, oh, well, no, you can't do that. Well, sure we can. We'll just make our own country. So yeah, they move in. So like they were invited into Mexico. And because they didn't want to get rid of slaves, decided to make their own country out of the country that they just moved into. Very disrespectful of the early Texicans to do that to the Mexicans. So I don't blame the Mexicans for being pretty pissed off about that. Yes, Bowie. I've actually seen with my eyes. So I did landman stuff. Landman is like oil and gas research. Okay, I did that when I was in college for a while during the summers. Pays really well. I remember when they told me what they were going to pay me. I was like, is that real? Because I never heard of anyone getting that kind of money. But I was in college and like, Jesus, I'm getting that much a day. Oh my God. But anyway, you go through old records, you basically land title research. It's blah, blah, blah. Basically, you have to figure out who owns the minerals because you may own your land, but you don't necessarily own what's underneath it. Okay. So, and like I was in Mississippi, down in Wilkinson County, Mississippi, which is where Natchez is. And I saw with my own eyes in the old books, Jim Bowie's signature on many documents. Jim Bowie became rich by forging. He was lying because he knew Spanish. Okay. So it was a secret weapon. Jim Bowie could speak fluent Spanish. He was married to a Spanish woman or a Mexican. She might have been a Spanish woman. She might have been Mexican. I think she might have been Spanish actually, but he spoke fluent Spanish, could write it, read it. And so Mississippi used to be part of Spain. It was part of Spanish Florida, is what the state was called essentially. And in 1818, something like that, they got rid of it. And so what he did when the Spanish moved out, he invented all these bogus titles that, Francisco Domingo Santiago, deeded me 80 acres, deeds to Jim Bowie. So he's a forger. He just basically made up all these like deeds and wrote them in Spanish. Let's see who we have. We have a guest. Cunningham. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes. I may have to put my headphones on so I don't have any reverb. Let me do this. All right. Let's see. Say something. Can I hear you?
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. I gotta change my speakers real quick so I don't get any reverb on the. There we go. Okay. Everyone's saying hello, Chris. All right. Cunningham has been missing for a long time. This will make Mrs. Sleuth very happy. She loves Chris Cunningham more than she loves me. So I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced. All right. So we were just, you've been away for a while. Look at your hair. Good Lord. Are you becoming, you're like the dude from Creed, man. Like,
that's the first I've heard. Usually when it's washed, I look like a combination between Shrek and Lord Farquaad.
Oh my God. Lord Farquaad. Funny. Well,
so I'm actually having a good hair moment. So
no, it looks very luscious, I would say, for sure. Yeah. There we go. I got to make us equal. So Anyway, we're just talking about, here we go, another guy saying not one shred of evidence that proves that Cooper jumped. Well, we know that to be wrong. All right.
That's why I retired.
I know.
Because of shit like that.
Scott Stapp, yes. Okay. So, yeah, everybody says Chargers in the chat. So, all right. So you've been away for a while. Everybody's saying is Mac in bed right now.
I heard some big news today that the drop zone, the famed drop zone, was nuked.
Yep.
The
newer version.
Okay, so yeah,
Skydive Forum or whatever it was. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I was never on that. So is the original? Yeah, I guess the original post from the original drop zone have been saved somewhere, correct?
Yes, who was it? Forgive me, who it was. Hell, it might have been Chris Dunlop. Maybe
I think it was. I want to say it was Chris.
I think it was Chris. Yeah, basically he what do you call that? Scouring or scraping? It's called scraping. Yeah, scrape. Did a scrape of the drop zone of the DB Cooper thread, and it's like a giant file. It's like 5 gigs of like all. So we did manage to save all the Joe Weber posts where. Joe Weber posts and a lot of information from Bruce and Meltzer. And the only problem with Drop Zone is that when they got rid of Blevins, they removed Blevins's posts, which stinks. So you can only see Blevins's post when someone like Jamie Beats or somebody was quoting him. So you can read Jamie can't stand Blevins, but you can read Blevins. You can read what people are replying to, but you can't read Blevins's post, which is sad because. It is interesting. People are like, oh, Blevins, we found out that he had a mortgage on that house. He didn't buy it with cash. Well, that makes no difference. It's like, oh, well, it does because you lied about it in your book. And he wouldn't change it. It's still in his book as far as I know. So the Ryan Flyjack wars are over until the new one comes out, I guess. So...
well, there is the dbcooperforum.com if anybody still wants to kick it old school with a message board.
See, and I thought that was down. I thought that when Shudder killed it.
Nope, that is up and running. And
well.
I've already heard a couple people fleeing there from.
Okay, because Georgia messaged me and said, "Hey, is it down? I'm going to the Georgia message. I don't know if Georgia messaged you too. Did he?
He did.
Okay, yeah, he was asking me what's up with that. So,
yeah.
Anyway. Series name is Cunningham. What does that mean? Okay. So here's a question for you. And this is a non sequitur. So for those who don't know, Chris used to be a professional wrestler. Okay. Here's a question for you. When you hit a guy in wrestling, are you doing like when you're playing with your brother or something and you hit him like that? I mean, are you actually hitting them? You're just pulling, or are you just missing them barely?
No, you don't miss them.
So you hit them.
Yeah, barely. you want to give them something to bounce off of, to bump off of.
To know when they're being hit. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, if you don't know you're being hit, how can you sell it? So you got to make a little bit of contact.
And then every now and then, though, if somebody does give you a hard one on accident.
Sometimes you catch one and you catch a potato, and that's called getting potatoed in the wrestling ring.
But then you give them a receipt.
You give them a receipt.
So
all's fair.
Okay.
And of course, when I was trained, you don't get receipts, you get revenge.
It's even worse, huh? Okay. Well, I mean, if you think about it, wrestling, I mean, you really are, they could kill you.
Yeah.
They could kill you, paralyze you, or kill you.
No, they could. Yeah, you could definitely be killed. And I mean, you saw recently, I don't know if you saw the video, but Rampage Jackson's son, attacked an independent wrestler in the middle of a show. It was supposed to be sort of a pre-planned part of the show. And I guess Rampage Jackson's son, I forget his name, he didn't realize that it was not legitimate and went into the ring and slammed a guy unconscious and then hit him with about 28 rights and lefts as the guy laid unconscious. And believe he's been charged with attempted homicide. So, so that's exactly what happens if someone takes liberties. And wrestling is all built on trust. Even if you don't particularly care for the guy, there's that mutual trust. So,
yeah. It is funny though. Whenever you see somebody run into the ring who's not supposed to be there, they do get their ass kicked pretty bad.
Yes, sometimes the referee will take care of business.
Well, and that's it too, because aren't referees? Aren't they wrestlers who just didn't have the size?
Every legitimate wrestler went through wrestling school and learned. Yeah, I mean, every referee trained to be a wrestler at some point, even if they, are 5'5" and 110 pounds. So they all took the same bumps and went through the same training and taught all the same things. So I've been involved in every aspect of the wrestling business. I wrestled, I've refereed, I've been a ring announcer, I've promoted shows, booked shows. So you name it, managed people. So you name it, I've done it.
He was Jay saying, what was his wrestling name? Chris Charger. There are videos online. You can find them. There's a few out there. If you look up Chris Charger on YouTube, Charger. So
speaking of promoting shows, I'm sure it's already been brought up, but I'm not in the loop. What's going on with DB CooperCon?
Thank you for bringing that back to Cooper. Well, it's going. We've got good ticket sales, which was good, and good ticket sales, in my opinion, because we had no early bird special, so there's really no reason for anybody to buy early. So we had decent sales for buying early. I expect most people are going to show up. And buy tickets there at the gate. So.
Yeah, I won't be attending this year, but just from looking at the event list, I think Max movie, obviously,
which I've seen, it's good.
Yeah, seems pretty good, seems pretty cool. And then, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be some. I hope I'm not giving anything away, but I think there's going to be some audio tapes played.
Oh, yes. I actually played some of those earlier to people. Yeah, I played some of those, and we discussed that earlier in the chat.
Yeah, that's
huge,
fascinating to me. Yeah, especially
because it goes off script. Yeah, I was telling them that because how you and I thought it was the Tower transcript, right?
Yeah, ATC.
Yeah, we thought it was just because we have those transcripts. We thought it was just relegated to that, but it's not. It goes off.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted that Soderlund is on the tape. Flabbergasted.
Yeah, he's on it all over.
And I can't believe that we're missing. I mean, I can believe that we're missing that most crucial part, because that's the vortex.
Maybe and this is the vortex too. Is the person who is supplying it piecemeal, and I'm like, if they've got the frickin' pressure, if they have the oscillations call on there, God Almighty, that really was kind of like the holy grail. Is if we can get that 811 call, because that really would tell us a lot as far as like,
or 815
or 815, yes, whatever it is, we're gonna feel. You're gonna hear something, but no, it is really cool to hear Soderlund.
Well, it's very cool. It's very cool to hear stuff that's not been released yet. It's not in any publicly released transcripts, publicly available transcripts. So that's cool. I don't know if it necessarily reveals anything. Maybe a couple interesting details. Yeah, I mean, if we could really nail down exactly when Cooper jumped, and I mean, I think you could probably do that within, I don't know, maybe like a 5-mile radius if you knew exactly where he jumped. I mean, shoot, you could have, 500 Cooperites scouring that area looking for, parachutes and loafers. And even though I know they're not loafers, don't yell at me.
Sure. Just whatever, anything.
Yeah, anything.
But nothing's been found. Yeah, it's. I mean, that we know of. I mean, the thing is, even though Cooper is well known, not everybody knows Cooper. And so, some guy could come across a briefcase in the woods and just go, well, it's just trash, and move on.
I mean, think about it. If you were walking through the woods and, near your home, and you came across a briefcase that looked like it'd been there for 50 years, I mean, I'm probably not stooping down and opening it up.
No, I'm just kicking at it and moving on, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so a lot of folks, like I said, we are invested in it. But everybody's giving out wrestling names. The Vordal Volcano, good one. The Walter
finishing
Recker,
moves.
The Walter Recker's good. yeah, somebody that says this is literally the only time the world of pro wrestling and DB Cooper have crossed paths.
I guarantee you that's not true.
Yeah, probably not.
I guarantee you that's not true.
well, because remember, the PNW is a hotbed for wrestlers,
Portland
right?
wrestling.
Portland wrestling is huge.
In fact, most of you guys know Tom Voigt, who's involved in the Zodiac case. He's attends, DB CooperCon pretty regularly. I think he's gone the last 2 or 3 years. He's the leading Zodiac expert. He runs ZodiacKiller.com. And he actually, back in the day, did some work for Portland Wrestling, which was the kind of the promotion that came after PNW, Portland Championship Wrestling, and all of that. So Portland was a hotbed for pro wrestling back in the day.
Yeah.
And Tom Boyd, actually, who's got a tangential connection to the Cooper case, was involved in that. So it's funny. Tom and I are friends, and we talk about wrestling far more than we do Zodiac or Cooper. So,
well, I'll have to hit him up on that because I talked to Tom the other day. Tom messaged me and asked about CooperCons. I mean, they're coming again because they live there. But you're right. I could almost promise that somebody's gimmick at some Portland wrestling was Cooper at some point.
Almost. In fact, I believe that there is a video on YouTube of a Portland wrestler, and his name escapes me, blonde guy, who actually did some type of gimmick where he pretended to find Cooper's money, or he did an interview and claimed to have Cooper's briefcase with the money in it or something. I think that's on YouTube. I'm sure somebody could find it.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're right. It probably isn't it almost certainly is not the first time we've had.
By the way, I have a name for a finishing maneuver. What about Himmelsback auger? The auger.
The auger. The Himmelsback auger. I dig it. We love Ralph around here.
Ralph.
So we have the obligatory Himmelsbach thing there. Sarah says, so people, Jay, it's a good, Jay's got a good point. He says, who takes a briefcase to the woods? If I saw a briefcase in the woods, I would check it out. Maybe. I mean, but it depends on where it is in the woods.
It depends on where the woods are.
Yeah,
because
right.
in the woods that I walk through, there's weird shit all over the place that I would probably ignore. But maybe you live in nicer woods than I do.
That's true. Let's see. The only other time was at a Kid Rock concert. Because somebody's asking, okay, so Al's talking about my installments of my long videos on the hijacking. Yeah, it's been a minute. I haven't come out with the one where he jumps yet. Mainly because I am moving around on things on that. I that's the main reason. I don't want to put it in print forever on YouTube and be wrong on stuff. So the part of him jumping is the part that is the most mysterious to us, because we don't know where he jumped really, or what he was dressed like when he jumped,
how he jumped,
how he jumped. So these are things that I can't. It's weird for me to represent that in a visual medium when I don't want to be wrong on that.
And you may never know.
Yeah. Eric is right. The search area is off. Not by that much.
What is Eric's search area now?
Pigeon Springs, I guess, which is north of Lake Merwin, way north of Lake Merwin, like 30 miles north of Lake Merwin. And of course, as I've pointed out, that the timing doesn't work. Like we know when they were roughly at certain areas, right? And so we know roughly when he jumped, and so.
Well, at least he's within the flight path now. So
he is.
We're moving. What is it called? The Overton window. We're moving the Cooperton window.
Yes. No, it's great. I mean, I am glad. It is funny that Eric is back on. Eric has found Jesus again, and
we fought that war for 15 years, I think.
God, I mean, talk about battles, like literal battles with Eric Eulis. He was unrelenting.
So regarding Eric, I know recently he had someone email him, and like I said, I'm semi-retired, so I'm not familiar with the details, but he had someone reach out to him who was an air traffic controller who claimed that he worked Flight 305 that night. What are the details on that? I'm sure you've discussed this before, but what's the latest on that?
All right, so Eric says that this was a guy who was, I think he was in the Air Force. I think he was an Air Force air traffic controller, and he claims that he was. They were watching along in real time and listening to it because
So he was an Air Force. He was U.S. Air Force in
Yes.
71.
Yes, and that he was doing. I think he was an Air Force air traffic controller, and he was sitting there. And out of interest, they were all just kind of watching it on their screens, and they were tuned in on that frequency because, again, they had jets in the sky, right? The Air Force did, so they were kind of listening. And he says that he remembers hearing the line, "Mark it on your shrimp boats. He just left us. Our friend just left us," which is a Radachek claimed quote, which there's no evidence of that. And I find that hard to believe. And I know you do too.
Well, I've spoken with many professional pilots who've flown the 727 and everything in between. And to a man, they've said that no professional pilot would say that to an air traffic controller. They would just not use that kind of terminology, mark it on your shrimp boats, on a transmission like that in that kind of situation. Just that language, that, casual, jokey, whatever you want to call it, language just would not be used in that context, in that environment. So, and we know that the phrase "our friend has taken leave of us" does appear in the transcripts. I believe it appears at about 11:13, where they've landed and they've gone and they've checked the aircraft and they've come back and reported. And Scott says, "Our friend has taken leave of us somewhere between Seattle and Reno."
Yeah.
So that phrase is used. It's not used by Radachek. And it's not used anywhere near the time that he claims it was used. So,
and they're also adamant too. They're adamant in the days after the hijacking and the night of the hijacking that they didn't know that they thought he was may have been still on the plane when they landed in Reno. Mm-hmm. So, like saying "mark it on your shrimp boats" is too definitive for what they were experiencing at the time, which they weren't sure.
Every interview that they did after the hijacking, they said we weren't sure. We thought he was on the plane when they landed. I mean, there's a article, I believe, the day after the hijacking where Scott says, "Yeah, we thought he was on the plane when we landed in Reno." Yeah. So, I mean, they were still trying to maneuver to kill him or to incapacitate him by flying high enough to get him hypoxia, and that was like 2 hours after he supposedly jumped. So there's nothing in the transcripts, nothing that would indicate that they had any inclination that he left the aircraft. I mean, if they had any suspicions, they did not tell the media, and apparently they didn't tell the FBI because, in fact, I think in Radachek's 302, if you look at his statement, he says, the phrase is going to escape me, but it's something like, I wish, it's one of the last couple sentences. He laments the fact that he did not mark down the time where the bump occurred, because he thought in hindsight that might have been when Cooper jumped, but in the moment they didn't think about it. So if he's saying, when that happened, mark it on your shrimp boats, our friend had taken leave of us, there's a statement in his 302 that directly opposes that, in which he says, I wish I had.
Yeah, I've got it here. He says,
made a statement.
This Radachek added that it had not occurred to them at the time that they could have pinpointed their exact location.
Yeah. So that's in direct opposition to the idea that he said, mark it on your shrimp boats. Yeah. So, and that 302 was, given hours after they got off the aircraft.
Not long, and within an hour, probably. Yeah. And also, Chris, see, you're so much better on the frequency stuff. Like, we've got what they were saying at 8:11, 8:13. I mean, it's in the teletype, and there's also the air traffic control transcript, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if he said that, where is it?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to the missing, 14 minutes, right?
On air traffic control. Yeah.
Air
Well,
traffic control. There's that block of, I think it's 14 minutes,
Yeah.
where there's nothing said. I think it's, I think it's between 7:59 and 8:13.
Yeah.
There's nothing at all. And it appears that
to air traffic control.
To air traffic control.
Teletype is teletype.
We do have the teletype. They were communing with Northwest Airlines with Paul Soderlund and the rest. But there was no communications with air traffic control between 7:59 and 8:13. And it appears that right around 7:59, they were given the wrong frequency. They were given a frequency to a high altitude en route radio controller rather than a low altitude, which makes sense because the radio controller, when they left Seattle, what does the 727 typically do? They take off, they fly at a particular altitude, and then they increase altitude. You don't have every plane flying at the same altitude. Obviously, jets and commercial airliners fly 35,000 feet. And then you have, of course, the Cessnas and the Piper Cubs who fly much lower. Mm-hmm. So it's usually the Piper Cubs and the Cessnas that fly on those low altitude Victor 23 airways. Obviously, this was an unusual circumstance because Cooper demanded that they fly lower. But the radio or the radar operator probably had a brain fart thinking, well, this is he probably wasn't even informed perhaps that there was a 10,000 foot restriction. So above 10,000 feet, it's a different radio controller. It's a different radar operator. And this guy passed him on to the high altitude radar operator instead of the low altitude who would have covered Victor 23. So whether or not, typically what happens is they would have been given this frequency, realized that it was the wrong guy, and then gone back to the original guy. That doesn't appear to have happened. So they either stuck with that high altitude guy, and those transcripts were never reported because everybody thought they were on the other frequency, or most likely pilots are taught in the event of emergency, and I'm going to forget, but basically the last thing that they do, I think it's navigate, aviate, navigate, and communicate. I think that's wrong. But anyways, the point is the last thing that they do in an emergency is communicate. The important thing is flying the plane. So the fact that they were in an emergency, there really probably wasn't anything to tell air traffic control. Yeah. So they were communicating with Northwest Airlines at that time. So, but the point is that it was due to a foul up that they ended up getting transferred to the wrong frequency. So that's probably why there's a 14-minute block of no time.
Which that should tell us that if this guy is claiming that he's hearing this shrimp boat thing, what frequency is he hearing that on? And why would he be on that wrong frequency?
Right. So
that's bullcrap. Yeah. That's why it's bullcrap.
Probably bullcrap. Probably bullcrap. Yeah.
Because if Radachek said anything, he'd be saying it to this random frequency that they were given.
Yeah. I think if you really want to get into the weeds, I think R2 was supposed to pass him on to R4 and instead passed on to R16, which is high altitude.
And R4 is Ammerman, right?
Was R4? Yeah, I thought R5. Well, he was covering R4 and R5. So he had actually, for quite a while. Okay. So, so that's getting into the boring frequency stuff. Bottom line is there's 14 minutes it's missing because, of course.
Of course, Of course, it happens when that happened, yes.
Right. And, of course, the most important portion of the audio is missing. So, but that's why I left.
I mean, it's weird. I'm telling you, there are things, like I said, what's interesting is Soderlund in the audio, you can hear him saying, why don't you go above 10,000 feet gradually? He says, he doesn't say it. He goes, if you catch my drift, if you know it, he says, he's like, if you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's probably a thought that he was listening in on the radio broadcast, somehow.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to give that away. The other thing that they had to think about was above, I think it's 12,500 feet, the oxygen mass dropped. So, Cooper's standing there getting ready to jump and the oxygen mass drops. He's going to know, if he knows anything about airplanes, that they're at an altitude above what he prescribed. So
right.
You don't want to give that away. So they had to be very careful. In fact, I think they were told, 11,000 feet to try to induce hypoxia and disorientation and dizziness and nausea and the whole thing. So,
yeah, which is interesting because it's almost like I'd rather have the guy jump out than have him pissed off with a bomb in his hand, perhaps.
Yeah.
One
of the things that always got me when I was going over that timeline and I was really digging into the transcripts and the communications and everything is I think we all have this visual of what that plane looked like, right? What the crew looked like in that moment and Cooper and all of that. And what's interesting is that there's a transmission that says 3 of the 4 crew are wearing oxygen. So as you're visualizing this plane flying down Victor 23, they're actually wearing oxygen masks, which never occurred to me before. I always, think, we've all seen the reenactments and the dramatizations, and they're all, wearing nothing. So the fact that they were wearing oxygen masks in the cockpit was sort of a striking detail that I hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, they should be wearing oxygen masks here.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think 3 of them. I think they said 3 of the 4 are on oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
who's the unlucky one who didn't get the oxygen?
Probably Radicek because he's running his mouth. No, actually, it might have been Scott though, because Radicek was flying the plane, so Scott would have been in charge of the radio, correct?
Yeah, but on the other hand, you have wouldn't you want the 3 pilots wearing the oxygen masks and have Tina just sitting there?
Well, but she's a lady, so I don't know.
Well, I understand, but you need the guys to fly the plane, right?
Well, you don't need Harold Anderson, maybe.
I mean, you don't need Harold Anderson falling out, do you?
Well, I don't know what Harold's doing back there.
Harold Anderson's the only pilot currently standing.
Yeah, he is.
Scott and Radicek are both gone. Of course, I'm sure you've talked about that.
Yeah.
Rest in power, Bill Radicek.
Yeah, I do think that they probably did offer Tina. I mean, these guys were very chivalrous. I bet Tina was on oxygen.
Yeah,
that'd be my guess. But you don't think so? Still, you think the pilots? So they've been like just the pilots. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do I have the? Oh, I do. Here we go. Speaking of Harold Anderson, Harold Anderson was gifted a few years ago for his 90th birthday a D.B. Cooper painting. So interesting to be given a painting of D.B. Cooper. But I mean, I guess he can smile about it, though, right? So good for Harold. But Harold's still standing. His granddaughter, am I right? His granddaughter's an actress, like a child actress, I think, who was on.
She's not a child anymore. She was on Modern Family.
Yeah, she was like this. She was like the.
She was the adopted Vietnamese child, I believe.
Oh, I thought she was like the snarky little girl in Modern Family. She was the Vietnamese kid. Okay, that's right. See, because and like I don't know because I think they're Hawaiian actually. So I think Harold lived a long time in Hawaii.
I think her character was Vietnamese in the show.
Right. The character Vietnamese, but I think the kid might be Hawaiian. Because I think that Harold spent much of his time in Hawaii, and I think his son or daughter may have married a Hawaiian. So I think it's a mixed race kid. I'm not sure on that. Chris has a fan.
Her name is Aubrey Anderson. In the show. Yeah, Aubrey Anderson.
So that means that's
Harold Anderson's granddaughter.
So Harold's son married a Hawaiian. That sounds like then a Hawaiian woman. Then okay, gotcha. Ariadne, I've said that wrong all the time. Says my 2 favorite guys. Love you both. So good to see you, Chris. You've been missed. Awesome.
Thank you.
We love Chris Charger. Okay, let's see. But yeah, so anyway, so Eric says that. Anyway, the point is that the guy said that the shrimp boat comment happened. He did mark it on the thing, and it was east of Chehalis, which is like way up north. I mean, that's 30 miles north of the Lake Merwin, even, I think.
Chehalis, I think, was where there was a ear witness report of loud jet engines passing by. Right. I forget the details of that, but I remember a few years ago somebody coming forward and saying that they lived in Chehalis at the time, and they heard extremely loud jet engines, like a low flying plane, and that would have put based on the map, would have put the plane would have had to have been much farther to the west, but more likely what they heard were the jets. were the Delta darts.
Yeah, because exactly. I think that's what people are hearing, because they were having to go really wide and do their S turns. So
Right.
like they were bleeding off speed, and they were probably, and they may have been lower. Who knows? They may have been even lower. But it's, Augie says, do recall that the 727 was notoriously loud. And granted, Chehalis is so close, they were probably still climbing at that point. So, I mean, they could have been, and they're low anyway. They're really at, they're at 7,500 feet AGL, really. I mean, they're at 10,000 feet, but they're not that far up, really. And jets are loud at that. I mean, sure. And also, the thing is, though, you can say a jet can still be 5 miles away from you, and you think it's on top of you, right? So that's why my whole thing about the flight path in Chehalis, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, because, I mean, it may have been the Cooper plane, but it doesn't mean it's right on top of Chehalis. You know, I mean, it could be 5-7 miles away, and you're still hearing it. I mean, it's not that far away, really. So, you know, I don't think, I never really thought much into that.
So did we ever get a name for this fellow? Did we verify that he was legitimate, or
he sounds
was he
legitimate.
Was he actually air traffic control?
No. You mean the guy with Eric? No, we haven't verified that. Eric seems but the thing is, I don't know. It just, the guy came out of nowhere and contacted Eric out of the blue. And for him to be repeating this line that probably is bogus, just kind of stinks. I mean, again, he may have been there, and it could be, I mean, I was talking about this with Mrs. Sleuth the other day about memory, right? Your memory is, every memory you have is wrong, basically. I mean, that's the truth of it. Is every memory you have, especially 10 years ago, is wrong. It's not the accurate recollection of what you know what I'm saying? Like, every memory you have is wrong in some way. It's never accurate, ever. So, like, I mean, there's people who talk about that. There's psychologists who are like, your memory is fake. It's all fake. And so, maybe he's misremembering things, like Radicek. I don't think that.
How do we know he's not just some
I agree.
random guy making a prank? I mean, I can pretend to be, email Eric and pretend to be some guy who did whatever, I mean,
well, remember there was a guy, a couple of years ago who went to V-23, an old man, and was like, I was piloting the chase planes and Cooper gave me the finger. It's like,
he waved at me or gave him, it was
bullshit.
Complete bullshit. Yeah.
It's like, no way. I mean, and so, like, that guy was a fraud. So I mean, just because you're old doesn't mean you're oblivious to being a fraud and having fun with people. Catfishing Eric, perhaps. I mean, because Chehalis is like, and I explained to Eric that, that how, like, we know where the plane was. Okay, we have multiple people writing down timestamps because they're calling in whenever they come across a DME or whatever. They're saying, oh, we're passing over this area. And we have all these people handwriting when they were there. So, like, and I think that, like, they were up near Chehalis, like 8:01 or something. I mean, maybe not quite that early, but it was pretty early. Hey, Winston. Hello, Winston. Vinyl Varieties is Winston. Yeah, I don't know, Chris. I'm looking for. I'm looking at your timestamp map too. I'm looking to see where because your timestamp map kind of goes up to.
I think mine goes about as far as La Center.
Okay.
I think.
I'm looking at it right.
It's been
now.
a minute.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, it goes up to. No, wait.
Yeah, no, it goes all the way up.
It goes to Pigeon Springs at 8:07.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll upload that.
Chehalis,
or however you say it.
Where the heck is that? I think that's up by.
It's damn near in Olympia. I mean, it's way up north.
Yeah, and the plane was. Yeah, that's Centralia. Where the hell is? Goddamn.
Chehalis.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, they're east of. Several miles east of Chehalis at 7:55.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So, 7:55 is where that guy. Although how Eric came up on Pigeon Springs, I think that's Pigeon Springs. It looks like Eon Springs. Yeah, 8:07. So sometime around. Regardless, it's too early, because the oscillations haven't even started yet. So, Just way too early for that. So yeah, but it's okay. Christian saying, how soon did the public learn that the serial numbers had been recorded? I think
Well, that's
they
a
waited
you
while.
question because I don't know shit about that.
It was a while actually. I think that I think they wouldn't have wanted to advertise that fact early on. I feel like it was a couple weeks. It was in the paper a few weeks later. Augie's saying, is he selling flight paths autographed by the witnesses now? Eric. Oh, that's funny. Eric's flight path. Remember, I made my own flight path. Remember, the Burns flight path. It was McCoy. That was mine. But yeah, because Eric was like making these flight paths. He was inventing flight paths. I'm like, Eric, you don't get to invent a flight path.
Well, but that was the conceit of his whole theory, is that it hinged on the Tina Bar money find, and that the money ended up on Tina Bar that night. Right. And I've talked about this in the past, is it really comes down to what's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, where a Texan goes out with his gun and shoots a bunch of holes in the side of a barn, and then goes and paints a bullseye around where most of the holes are. So, and I think that's kind of what you're doing, is you're taking Tina Bar and then trying to have a flight path that fits it. You can't do that. Whether we like it or not, the where the plane was and where Tina Bar is are just
incompatible.
They're just, I mean, and obviously that's the
booger bear.
The whole Gordian knot that we're dealing with here. It doesn't make any sense. So
it doesn't make any sense. So, and like everyone's going to ask, like, what is your Tina Bar theory?
I think he jumped closer to the Columbia River than probably most people think. And he ended up on the shore of the Columbia, the riverbank, along with either him or the money. I'm open to the fact that the money might have become detached like it did with Mac. But either way, the money bag ended up on the shore of the Columbia, where it remained hidden in the brush until floodwaters transported it via debris to Tina Bar. And some of the money dribbled out, ended up getting buried in the silt, and the rest of it getting carried downstream to be lost forever. But that's certainly not a perfect theory, because it relies on a lot of crap happening to get it there, and doesn't appear to line up at all with the whole clean money versus dirty money, with the silt and all of that. So and Tom's findings on that. So yeah, that's the best I got, man. That's the best I got.
I mean, it's the problem is it won't help us find Cooper. So it's a dead. Yeah. It's
at the end of the day, you've got three choices. You can believe that it arrived there by human means. It was put there. It arrived there naturally, or it arrived there supernaturally on the back of a dragon, or Bigfoot ate it and shit it out on Tina Bar. But those are your three choices: human, natural, or supernatural. Take your pick.
I am really looking forward to at CooperCon. We have Ron Ravancic, who is literally a river hydrologist. He has a PhD in that. Mm-hmm. I think in river hydrology. So you're not going to find a better person to tell you what can be transported by river or not. And yeah, money doesn't float, but it can roll along the bottom, perhaps, and then who knows? I mean, rivers are weird, and so I'm really looking forward to. Really looking forward to that. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on Ralph Cooper as a suspect? Who is Ralph Cooper? I don't know who Ralph Cooper is. And no, I'm not playing that clip. I'm not playing Ralph again. But Jay says, I think an animal tore the bag apart. I mean, could.
Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, who could be? Could be.
So, Ryan, question for you.
Yes.
Obviously, I am a cynic who is just, bathed in pessimism as far as this case is concerned. And I don't believe it'll ever be solved. Mm-hmm. What's your level of optimism that the case will be solved to, solved?
Little. I mentioned that earlier today. Very little. I mean, just like at this point, even like his children are getting old. Like, for example, the suspect coming out next week, his only daughter she's 70, right? So I mean, even the children, so spouses are just as gone as Cooper is probably. And if they didn't come forward, if his spouse never came forward, then I mean that's a dead end. I mean, it kind of goes to the sadness I have when people like Tina and stuff don't talk. And again, they don't have to talk, but it's almost like you want to tell them, look, and you have a bit of a historical duty, to tell some things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but do you think it'll help? I mean, what if
No.
what if Tina came to DB CooperCon and said, "Yeah, I'll do an hour with you, Ryan, and you can ask me anything you want about the case"? I mean, is there going to be anything that's going to blow the case open?
No, and I've had that thought. People have asked me, what would you ask Tina? And I've thought about it, and I'm like, it's all like nerdy, esoteric stuff. Like, was the money bag dragging behind him? Was Tusaw quoting you correctly? Throughout the thing, did you really see him pull out packing cards? Just things to verify, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the only thing that's solving the case is DNA, and the only DNA you got is the hair, and the hair is missing. Yeah. So, and I'm not even convinced that if the FBI found the hair, they'd even do anything with it.
No. I agree. I was saying that basically you would have to have somebody find the money. If somebody found the money, if somebody came forward and said, I found a wad of these 20s that were verified to be Cooper's in my house, and you could see who owned that. I mean, like, there are ways, I guess.
Yeah, but then what confidence do we have that if there was any money remaining, that it would be any better condition than what was found on Tina Barr? Yeah. I mean, why was 3% of the money found deteriorating on a beach, and 97% of it was perfectly fine, and some of it was even kept to this day? Mm-hmm. I just does I don't buy it.
Yeah. So I was saying that.
So if we're never going to solve it, what's the appeal?
Well, the chance that it's the same reason people play the lottery, right? I mean, you just never know, right? You never know when the next
but you do know.
I don't know. What I think is that I think you could have a suspect who is good enough to where I think the best we're ever gonna get. And this is sad, but absent the hair slide, I think the best absent the hair slide, and B, absent the FBI actually letting somebody do hair slide research on it, which who knows if they would even do that, because they really don't care anymore. But absent that, I think the best we're going to get, I do think we could get a suspect good enough to get 70% of the vortex to go, it was probably that guy. But
never.
You don't think so?
Never. You're never getting 70% of the vortex to agree on anything.
Okay, maybe not.
Certainly not a suspect. Then not a chance. No way. People are too personally invested in their people. Never going to happen. No. If you get 40%, it would be a miracle.
We'll see. We'll see about that. I like the new guy a lot. Honest to God, I don't know. You never prove he's Cooper. No idea. But
everybody likes the new guy a lot at first.
I don't know, man. I'm good at killing suspects, and I have a hard time killing this person, and so does everybody else apparently. So it's good. But again, no, the confidence in it is like
See, the appeal for like what dragged me into the Cooper case was the idea that, well, there are enough clues here where I could figure it out.
Yeah, you think?
And there's enough smart people involved that working together we can figure it out. And as time wore on, it was like there's just no workable solution here. There's just no way around it other than DNA, and that just doesn't appear to be an option.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've gotten a little bit more. I've been incredibly busy with my new job, so I haven't even had the time or the energy to even look at Cooper. But I've sort of kind of shifted my attention to the Zodiac case, which is what I was interested in for a long time before this, and I still think that case can be solved.
Zodiac,
yeah. So, and that's the appeal, is that it's like working that puzzle and try to find the solution. I just feel like with Cooper, it's like pointless. There's
So it's
just
again, there are lots of Zodiac. There is a lot of Zodiac Cooper crossover as far as researchers go. Again, my experience with prosecuting murders and things has turned me off of some of the gore. So I don't like that stuff. So I don't do that stuff. But there is a lot of overlap between researchers. Why is Zodiac more likely to be solved?
well, there's
Is
more.
there
There's
more evidence?
there's physical evidence. I mean, they have stamps with saliva on it. They have
Right.
envelopes with, touch DNA and glue with skin cells, presumably. So
Letters, I guess, right? We have his writing.
the letters, all of that. So I mean, if imagine if you had an envelope that the stamp and the envelope had been licked by
Right.
Cooper. Imagine
Right.
if you
You're
had
right.
that.
You're right.
I mean, if we had that,
Oh yeah.
so
True.
but the thing about, and we've got multiple of those for the Zodiac, multiple. So there's a lot more physical evidence.
Are there
the
any-
question is, there
Right.
doesn't appear to be any motivation, enthusiasm on the part of law enforcement to use that evidence to, bring the case to a conclusion. And the other problem with the other difference between the two cases is that Cooper is a singular law enforcement. It's just the FBI, whereas Zodiac, his crime spanned a multitude of jurisdictions and law enforcement agencies that are oftentimes loath to work with one another, and they have different budgets and competing interests and other things that are important to them. So it's not as easy to put together evidence and submit it and do all those sorts of things. And I know Vallejo Police Department is very understaffed and very underfunded as police departments go. So they probably just simply don't have it in their budget to, perform all of that stuff. So
Seems like there'd be some grants that would be people. Zodiac is so popular. There'd be some rich people who would.
I don't think there's an enthusiasm for it for whatever reason.
Aren't there living victims? Isn't the guy that got stabbed still alive?
He is still alive. Yeah, Brian Hartnell is still alive. Yeah, but they just, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's perplexing to me as it is to you. But there just doesn't seem to be a real drive to want to do it. I just think they have other priorities at this point.
Okay.
Other cases and modern cases and cases that are, murder cases that happened last year that are taking priority than one, that took place, almost over 50 years ago.
Well, so as a Zodiac person, are there any cigarette butt moments, for example, in the Zodiac case? Did you go, oh my God, if this had happened?
No, yeah, it's the fact that the police spoke to Zodiac moments after he shot to death the cab driver in Presidio Heights. He had just shot the cab driver, wiped down the cab, walked up the street, made a right, walked across the street, and began walking down the hill. And at that point, a responding police car with two police officers in it pulled up and asked, "Hey, have you seen anything?" And Zodiac said, "Yeah, I saw some guy with a gun run that way." And they took off, after him. You're probably wondering, well, they're dumb. Why would they do that?
Right.
There's a guy leaving a crime scene. Well, the crime was initially reported to be an African-American person. And the Zodiac obviously was not. So they thought, well, this guy obviously isn't the suspect. He's not black. So they excluded him. But they had Zodiac right there, dead to rights, within moments after killing a guy.
Wow.
And they missed him. So
And he obviously played it cool.
very cool. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine shooting somebody and then moments later being like, oh yeah, that guy ran that way.
It's a psychopath. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
truly.
Yep.
And do you think that, and this is like Zodiac hour now, but do you think that was the school bus terrorist guy in the early 60s, was that Zodiac?
Yeah.
So you think that
Yeah,
was?
Well,
Or is it verified to be?
it's very, yeah, he wrote it in his letters. He says,
oh.
yeah, he said, I'm going to pick off the little kiddies as they come in bouncing off the bus.
All right.
And said that he had a bomb where his death machine that he was going to hide and blow it up as, rig it up so that it would blow up as a school bus drove by. So yeah, and I've told you this before. I mean, Zodiac today would be considered a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
He not only he killed people, but through his threats and his letters and whatnot, he terrorized Northern California for years.
Yeah.
Threatened to blow up buses and shoot little kids. So yeah, he was a domestic terrorist. And you mentioned earlier about the gore, and I totally understand that. One of the things that attracts me to the Zodiac is that so many of these serial killer cases are sexually motivated, and there's a lot of sexual deviancy, and that's just that a lot of that stuff just turns me off, and
Yeah.
so Zodiac didn't present any of that sexual deviancy that you see in a lot of serial killers. It's my theory is that Zodiac killed to get attention. It was a means to an end. His real goal was to get his name in the paper, and he just used killing to do that. Whereas a lot of serial killers, killing is the thrill. That's the goal. Whereas Zodiac, his goal was the attention and the notoriety and the infamy. And he just used killing as a means to get that. So little different cat, little different character. Interesting guy.
So why would he stop?
He stopped after he had that encounter with the cops.
Oh, you think he got
spooked? He was almost caught, and I think he got spooked. And and after that, I think he felt, well, I've already got the notoriety. I'm in the paper every day.
Yeah.
They publish my letters no matter what, so I can just claim to have killed people, and they'll publish my letters. And so he'd already gotten it. He didn't need to kill anymore, and didn't want to get caught, obviously. So he was probably spooked and shut his mouth.
And Zodiac has their own McCoy, don't they? What's that? Arthur Lee Allen is
Arthur Lee Allen.
Yeah, it's like
he's everybody's number one guy. It's like, when you enter the Cooper case for the very first time, who's the first, suspect you're attracted to? It's usually McCoy. And then you learn a little bit more about the case and you realize, that's not him.
Interesting.
And for me, Arthur Lee Allen is that guy. Most people are introduced to the Zodiac case by Robert Graysmith's book, Zodiac and Zodiac Revisited. And
in the movie too.
Yeah, in the movie Zodiac, and they all point the finger at Arthur Lee Allen. So that's people's introduction to the case is through him as a suspect.
But it's a lazy answer. Is the or uneducated answer, I guess.
The Arthur Lee Allen was legitimately a giant man. I mean, he was 6'4" and close to 300 pounds. The Zodiac was described as 5'8" and stocky. So you would not describe Arthur Lee Allen as 5'8" and stocky or beefy. You would notice him. I mean, he was the size.
The cops who talked to the guy would say, "This is a big guy we'd look to talk to."
Exactly right. Yeah, he looked like a professional football player. He would tower over people. So somebody would certainly notice that. And then he's been eliminated by DNA and fingerprints and handwriting analysis. So it's just despite people's claims to the contrary, he's not the guy.
It says Allen had the Zodiac watch. What does that mean?
Well, they had a brand of watch called the Zodiac. The Zodiac brand. I think it was popular with divers, and it had it on there. I mean, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that connects him to the case, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that connects McCoy to Cooper.
Well, but it's Beeson who thinks it could have been tangentially related to Allen, right? Isn't Drew's book about like a guy who knew Arthur Lee Allen or something? Isn't that his suspect?
No. Now you're testing me because my brain is not.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure his name was like Paulson or something. Paulson or not Robert Paulson. That's Fight Club. Gary Paul or Paulson or who is Drew Beeson's suspect? People in the chat. It's a guy who Zodiac knew, and they're saying that like basically.
It was his friend. He's the one that turned him in. Yeah, he was trying to frame him because Allen was molesting his daughter.
Oh, and so. Yeah, but I think Drew's arguing that guy was the Zodiac and that he was framing, which, I mean, Zodiac would be devious enough to do that, I would think. He was pretty sick like that. Robert Paulson. It was not Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson. His name was Don Chaney. That's it.
Don Chaney. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
my favorite suspect is
Golgowski, right? Or
no. That's Tom's.
Tom's.
Richard Gaikowski. Mine is Klingler.
Tell me about him.
He there was during the I forget his full name. Nikki will help me out. Is it Charles Klingler? Klingel.
Klingel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look it up. Like,
Yeah. At any rate, the story behind it is kind of cool in that back in 07 when they were, that was when the movie came out with Fincher's movie Zodiac. The Chronicle, the San Francisco Chronicle, was going through some old correspondence that they had related to the case, and they came across a greeting card from 1990, which was 17 years earlier. And the greeting card had a snowman with a little bunny, and inside I think it said something like "From your secret pal," and the handwriting on the front of the envelope was remarkably similar to the Zodiac's, and inside was a photocopy of keys, and they were keys to what appeared to be a safety deposit box or a post office box. And the serial number was on there, and I believe it was actually Tom. I'll give him credit for this, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the one that actually tracked down the serial number to a post office in Eureka, California, to a guy named I think it was Charles Clark Klingel.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and the box that was related to the keys that was found in this card that was sent in 1990 and was found during the promotion for the movie 2007 was him. And Tom was extremely excited by this guy. He lived in San Francisco, and there's all kinds of connections to this guy. And they ended up eliminating him through DNA. But now we know that the Zodiac DNA is extremely contaminated because the sample that they got was from the front of the stamp, not the rear where it was licked. So it could have been the mailman's, it could have been anybody's. So the DNA profile that they got from the front of the stamp didn't match Klingel, but it honestly doesn't matter because it was extremely contaminated. So I think Klingel is still a viable suspect for the crime.
Well, Augie says, in the movie Zodiac, who is the creepy person who worked in the movie theater who wrote the posters? Was that person looked at?
I don't, you guys are testing my Zodiac knowledge now, man. I don't remember.
Weren't you an admin on a Zodiac forum?
Yeah, it's been a minute, buddy. I've got a lot of things on my mind. I got a lot going on.
You do.
Yeah, I don't remember. But
okay,
he was another guy that they suspected, and yes, he was creepy in real life. So
interesting. And okay, so Max is saying, going to Cooper, is it possible the money was still attached to Cooper when he landed? I mean, of course. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, why would it not be? He tied it. I mean, he tied it to himself. He spent a while tying it to himself. And look, maybe one day I'll release the footage, but I have tied my money bag to myself. I have wrapped it around myself and tied it as tight as I can be, and I've tried to have someone pull it off of me, and it not coming off. I mean, parachute cord is hard.
Can we do? I would like to do an experiment where we tie the parachute cord to the bumper of a truck, and then tie you to it, and then if we hit the accelerator, see if we can get the money to come off, and if not, then we can just drag you around the Mississippi wilderness.
Aren't you funny? Yes. No, they actually. I think it was Jude. I think Jude actually did this. I think Jude
he did,
actually. I believe, yeah. He tied parachute cord to his car, and then tied it to a cement block or something, and it tore his car up. So that's how strong parachute cord is. It's really strong, and it's not gonna. As long as he could tie a knot good enough.
You could replicate that scene in, what is it, Old School?
Oh, you're being dragged around.
No, yeah, where they drop the concrete blocks off the.
Oh yes, that's funny. Let's see. Did Miss Columbo tie me up? No. Ryan, does Chris agree with you that the DZ is back north of Brush Prairie again? I don't think so.
No.
Chris is he's unwielding.
Yeah.
He's unwielding.
Yeah. In fact, once I get my shit together, I'm going to make a video that debunks Ryan's ideas on where the drop zone is.
My evolving ideas. I know. I'm actually in line with Flyjack of all things.
I have all the receipts, and yeah. So I'm gonna I truly, I'm gonna do a video and,
Okay.
and
I wish
just
you
kind
would.
of, yeah, put it out there. I just, I don't have the time,
Yeah, I know.
but
You're working hard.
yeah. So,
I know.
but yeah, that's something that's on the horizon. But no, I think it was farther south. But I think it's safe to say, and I think we both agree that it was somewhere between the Lewis and the Columbia.
Yeah.
And somewhere between those two rivers,
I
somewhere,
think
and he probably ended up either beneath or to the east of the flight path, between those two rivers. I think that's probably safe to say. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think he's right just south of the Lewis River, is my opinion. But
Yeah,
he's
I think
definitely
he's
south
just
of the
north of the Columbia. So
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. What is interesting though is that the FBI, when people talk about the FBI, I've actually started making some changes to the Wikipedia because I got busy on my book and stuff, but the Wikipedia seems to indicate that like it's very FBI thinks he died centric on the Wikipedia. I'm like, that's not accurate at all, because the only guy I know in the FBI who thinks Cooper died is Larry, and even Ralph Himmelsbach says 50-50, but the rest of the guys, Detler's like, Detler's at Cooper saying, I have no reason to think he didn't survive. he says we all operated under the assumption that he was alive. We've got J. Earl Milne, the special agent in charge, after he retires, telling his local paper, I think Cooper made it. The ground wasn't that bad. The jet was safe to jump from. The weather wasn't as bad as reported. I think he may have slept in a bed that night.
Yeah, I mean that area between the Lewis and the Columbia is not remote wilderness. It is not woods. It's not mountainous. It's
nope. There is a skydiving center there.
Yeah, right in the middle of it. I mean, it's flat rural, land, pasture land. It's got some, copse of trees and things like that, but it's not a bad place to land.
It's not a wilderness. No, it's not the wilderness.
I mean, it's not any worse than like Normandy, for the paratroopers.
Oh, sure.
I think it's probably similar terrain, similar environment as what they had in Normandy.
Some trees, something. Yeah, and it's just not. It's not that bad. And also, then we have Tom Manning, who is interesting. We have this. Probably it's a crucial line it's a random line in an FBI file, but we have Tom Manning telling the director of the FBI we should stop spending resources on looking for this guy on the ground here. We should not do any more searches on the ground. But he says because there is no indication that unidentified subject, people who don't know what that means, because there is no indication that unsub's parachute failed to deploy. So like. That's an implicit statement that he lived, almost certainly, that they think he lived, because there would have been something found, is what they're saying. Mm-hmm. We've looked, and especially because they went along the flight path area. Because if he dies, if he just no pulls, he's going right down. And in fact, that's the thing. If he no pulls, the flight path is basically over I-5. So if he no pulls, he's not landing too far away from civilization on the interstate. So,
yeah, I mean, that area is civilized. It's not, like I said, it's not remote wilderness. There's towns and there's roads and there's, buildings and houses and, all.
Well, look, it was a county of 120,000 people back then. And like I said in one of my videos, is it really a remote wilderness if 15 minutes away is a city big enough to have an NBA team? Like, it's not. Yeah. It is a suburbs of a major city. Now, somebody does ask, who was it? Somebody asked you, they said, are you still in the dead camp? That doesn't sound like you are. I mean, we were just talking about him not dying.
Yeah, I mean, I said before, I'm sort of agnostic on it. Truly. I mean, I know that's probably a cop-out, but I don't think I'd be surprised either way. So
the problem, I guess the problem...
I wouldn't be surprised either way. I used to be in firmly that he died. Mm-hmm. But my views have shifted on that just in the face of evidence. But I've spoken about this before, is that what I resist is this idea of certainty that he lived. Sure. Because there is still the possibility, even remote, that he did not. So this idea of certainty, well, of course he lived. He definitely lived. And, dismiss all other, possibilities, I just think is a wrong way to investigate a case. So, I think that's more or less what I push back against is the certainty either way. So, he might have lived. He might not have lived. I don't know.
I'm with you.
So
and that's why
I think we have to look at living suspects, and I don't think we dismiss suspects who, went missing in, November of 71. I mean, if we had a guy who went missing in November of 1971 who matched the description of Cooper, would you dismiss that guy? No. So, I mean, so I that's the one thing that I push back against is this idea certainty. Of like certainty on it and taking it for granted that he lived. I mean, there's a possibility he didn't. So, once you put those blinders on and you get that tunnel vision, that's where your investigation can go sideways. So, it wouldn't surprise me either way if he lived or died.
Well, I mean, I'm of the opinion that he survived, but I do spend time on NamUs looking at at unidentified remains, at the remains of people. Yeah. So, I mean, even though I think he lived, I'm still looking at dead people because that it's quite possible.
I'm still waiting from a call from a coroner up there, actually, on some remains that were found. Yeah.
Oh goodness, I didn't mean to do that. I'm clicking on links. Christopher Hitchens Cunningham. It's funny. Hitch, the Hitch slap, they call it Hitch slap when he would hit people. I think the best Hitch slap was when he told somebody, he goes, "You strike me as someone who has never read an opinion other than yours in your life." It's like true. Was there so in the Cooper case, was there any kidnapping around the time or mafia stuff at around that time? Actually, so Chris Brower, the bloodhound of bloodhounds, who finds everything. It was Chris
Shout
Brower.
Out to Chris.
It's no kidding. Chris Brower found where.
Can I just say that I think Chris Brower is doing the best research on the case.
Easy.
Like right now, easily the best. Every time I go on one of the Facebook groups, he's got some other compelling, weird thing, and it's like, what So he's doing the best work right now.
He is. He's the goat.
If anybody should win Researcher of the Year at DB CooperCon, it should be Chris Brower. I'm nominating him.
You're in good company with that. So yes, he is. He's killing it. So Brower found where, gosh, Nikki's not in the chat because Nikki's going to Memphis to see his god kid who's in the hospital there. St. Jude, great hospital, best in the world.
Yeah, prayers up.
It's wonderful. Yeah, prayers up. So, but I believe it was a month before the hijacking, there was a ransom in Mexico. Something about Mexico. I'm trying to remember that somebody ransomed a family member for $200,000 in American cash, was holding somebody hostage for $200,000 in American cash. So it's like, okay, well, we have a $200,000 hijacking and $200,000 ransom around the same time from a Mexican. And I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think it wasn't resolved until after the Cooper hijacking. So, I mean, maybe somebody was desperate and wanted to go get $200,000 for their family member to pay a ransom, which happens all the time in Central America.
There was also the story of Ken Planstad. Have you heard that story?
Kenneth Planstad, the guy from Wisconsin or somewhere?
Yep. Yeah. Age 48, last seen Milwaukee, Wisconsin, November 16, 1971. Yep. On the day of his disappearance, they went to Milwaukee, dropped his wife off while he attended a business meeting. He had plans to pick up his daughter at noon. After the meeting, blah, blah, blah. From there, the three were going to go look for a car. He was present for the meeting and was seen at a convenience store shortly thereafter. However, he never arrived at his daughter's home. They found his car parked at the curb, but he was not inside the vehicle, and he was never seen or heard from again. They found the doors unlocked, the windows rolled down, and a glove box that was open and appeared to be rifled through, and his hat was found crushed in a nearby gutter. It was reportedly discovered after his disappearance that $65,000 was missing from a trust account that Kenneth was responsible for in his capacity as an attorney. So that's a rabbit hole you can go down. That's Kenneth Planstad from Milwaukee, Wisconsin was apparently kidnapped and murdered or kidnapped. A week before the Cooper crime.
And Plaisted is not he's not a Cooper. I mean, here he is. I mean, he's not a good match for Cooper. He's got a lot
Physically,
of hair.
no.
He's
Glasses.
got a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And glasses, a lot of hair. He's not a white guy. He's got some swarthiness. He's got some darkness to him, but he's not. I mean, as far as honestly.
What do you think of that tie, though?
I know he's got it certainly is wearing a skinny tie. And Cooper could have dyed his hair. That there's thoughts that it was dyed. His hair looks strange. Guess who was Mafia? Who was Mafia? Tim. Hello, Tim Wallace. It is past your bedtime, sir. It is 4 a.m. where you are.
It's getting close to my bedtime too, pal.
Yeah, we're about to sign off. I always go 3 hours. We got 5 minutes. That is a whale of a white man. Yes, that is a whale white man.
Jesus Christ. I haven't gained that much weight, have I?
No. It's not about you. Elvis, the Memphis Mafia. That's right. Who was Mafia? Tim, tell us who was Mafia. Was Braden?
Well, who's Tim's
Mafia?
suspect? Doesn't Tim have a guy?
Tim's a Braden guy, I thought.
Is he?
I mean, I think. There was a heroin drug bust in Portland just the days before the hijacking. There was a bank robbery the day before the hijacking. It was a soldier from somebody. It was not connected, but it was a soldier from Fort Lewis or wherever. Connected to the hijacking, and somebody else I was going to connect. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you spent a lot of time on Arthur Lavario, who was a guy who went missing. When did it? August of 71 was it? Or
yeah, I've never gone public with his name, so thanks for doxing him.
Shit, I thought we have, but you're out of it.
Yeah, I mean he's
my bad.
Jesus. He would have been. He was born in 1928, so he'd be about pushing 100 years old now.
No, we talked about on the research group. You mentioned him, so
I did select few.
He's got out. Sorry, I thought he's been out, but no, yeah, he's a good physical description for sure.
I think he's one of the best physical descriptions in just physical descriptions. Yeah. Problem is that I have been searching fruitlessly for a photograph of him anywhere near 1971, and the only photographs that I have found of him are in his 20s, and they're extremely poor quality.
Yeah.
So I've been searching for mugshots. I've been calling and trying to do FOIA requests or public record requests for, police departments in his area, and it's just
and now he was organized crime related, right?
Don't know if you would describe it necessarily as organized crime. It was reported that he was sort of a hood connected to gangs. What those gangs entailed, where they just, car thief ring, or was it more of like a, I don't think the area that he was living in particularly had a Italian mafia, centered there, but he was definitely involved in underground criminal activity. He was in the criminal underground for sure.
Yeah, we just don't have a lot of ethnic Coopers, and he's one of them.
Yeah,
and so
he was half Italian and half Mexican.
Right, but there you go. I mean, kind of
and his complexion was described as ruddy.
See, ruddy is a strange one, because like ruddy to us is like splotchy red, but ruddy to them, I've seen. I mean, like the new suspect is he is dark, and he's described as ruddy on his draft card. I'm like, ruddy? This guy's dark as hell.
Yeah, his brother looks Native American.
So. Oh yeah, wow. So yeah, and call him Ruddy. Yes, Ruddy must have meant something different back in the day. It's interesting that they're like that. Was anyone reported missing that night? No, not that we're aware of. I mean, the closest, Plaisted's the closest, I think, on NamUs. I think.
Yeah. What about Melvin?
Melvin's close. Melvin's September, so Melvin's 2 months earlier. And gosh, if Melvin had been in the friggin' Air Force or something, I'd be a lot more intrigued. Melvin was in the surface Navy during the war in his military time. He has no aviation connection at all whatsoever to anything. And I just do think Cooper had something going on. He
not disqualifying. I disagree.
I know,
Not
I know you
disqualifying.
disagree. But look at Paul Sini. Paul Sini is when somebody who doesn't know aviation or skydiving does this. It's a catastrophe of epic proportions to me. And so, but again, if you're an intelligent, as you've always said, Chris, you introduced me to the idea of Cooper having neurodivergent thinking. That's all that's required. And I agree with
I mean, like Larry said, like Larry Carr has gone and said multiple times, I think Cooper just had just enough knowledge to be a danger to himself and others.
Right. So he's a IQ 125, 130 guy.
Yeah,
not genius, but
we talked about this in the fantasy football league. The Louvre robbery was committed by guys who they said were just like blue collar guys. It wasn't Danny Ocean. It was it was just regular dudes who robbed the Louvre. So
right, and although that's just a wild heist. I mean, we don't see many old school heists like that anymore.
Yeah.
That's what.
So
all right,
that was an indelicate heist. So
yeah, it was, no doubt. All right, well, okay, folks. So that's all we've got. So thank you, Chris, for joining me.
Thanks for the invite. I know I was a curmudgeon about it, but
I had to get you in.
Got me sucked back in. So
good. Well, we'll do it next time. All right, buddy. And sorry for doxing your guy. My bad. It's
fine. Trust me,
okay.
it's fine.
It's all right.
So
all right, folks.
Hey, listen. If anybody can give me information on Arthur Lavario from Phoenix, Arizona, hit me up.
All in. Chris has done. I think you've done all that can be done at this point. Honestly,
probably.
I'm quite certain on that. All right, Chris. See you later, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.